What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, your home for all the latest and greatest Lions news, updates, analysis, and so much more. It is a beautiful Monday evening-ish. I don't know. Once time shifts over, it's really hard to know like what time of day it is anymore. It's been beautiful today. It's nice. It's warm. I actually got to like have my arms out. It was great. And once again, I'm your host, Miko. You can find me over at Twitter at the Miko Scott. Joined once again by my amazing co-host. First and foremost, we have your senior editor over at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, how are you feeling?
You know, Miko, you described how nice it is outside. I couldn't imagine wanting to be anywhere else other than inside talking to you guys about the NFL draft.
Listen, anytime we get to talk about Brad Holmes, it's going to be, I think it's a good time. It might get a little cloudy at some point in time in this conversation, but for the most part, sunshine is all I'm going to say. We also have your editor-in-chief and beat writer for the Detroit Lions. I feel like we have to now kind of throw that in there for anybody who doesn't know. Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Lion over there on Twitter. Jeremy, how are you doing on this just beautiful, gorgeous Monday?
I'm great, and I also need to say that I am not making Miko say that. To be clear, that was on his own volition. But I don't know if I completely share Ryan's sentiments about being indoors and talking about the NFL draft for the third, fourth, fifth straight week. But I am I'm always happy to talk ball with you guys. So. Good enough.
I don't know. You've changed, man. You've changed.
I don't know, man. I was gonna say, like, listen, you guys might think that he didn't make me say that, but if you go over to, Apple Podcasts, I'm listed as a guest while everyone else is listed as a host. Take that information however you want to deal with it.
It's being fixed this week.
We'll see about that. Guys, Brad Holmes did actually talk to the media today. It's kind of like his pre-draft press conference. We're still a couple weeks out from the draft. But this was, a lot of the fans' opportunity to kind of hear from Brad in terms of, how some of the things went with free agency, how he's kind of looking ahead to the draft. And there were a number of talking points that he kind of hit on. And we're going to talk about that in today's podcast, talking about some of his takeaways. And then there was a particular point that he kind of made early on in his press conference that we're going to talk about in the second segment when it talks about possibly addressing other positions outside of offensive tackle and edge, because I feel like we've kind of beat that topic to death early in this draft process or late in this draft process. So, Jeremy, let's start off with one of the things that he did talk about when it comes to those two positions. He was kind of asked about, his confidence level in both, Larry Borom and DJ Wonnum now that, they have been kind of added to the team at some key positions of need. Holmes kind of, responds to that is like, quote, "We feel good about both of them, so we don't feel like we have to supplement them." Is that a statement that you agree with, or do you think Brad's maybe playing a little coy so that he doesn't kind of have to, for lack of a better word, tip his hand?
Well, okay. If you're an NFL general manager and someone asks you, "Hey, do you feel confident in the offensive tackle and edge player you signed?" There is only one correct answer. Correct? Right? Like you can't say, "Nah, those guys aren't good enough." Right? Like that is the ink isn't even dry on those guys' contract and you're throwing them under the bus. Right? So
yeah,
I think
that's fair.
I think you should probably take that comment with a grain of salt, maybe several grains of salt. But I will say, like, they have not only backed Larry Borom as a good right tackle, but like they have gone above and beyond hyping him up this offseason. Now, you can say all of that is to hide their intentions. We've talked on this podcast before about how there are teams under the lines that are offensive tackle needy, and to throw them off their scent maybe de-incentivizes them for jumping Detroit. Do I think anyone is buying that? I think there are smarter NFL front offices than that. But given given the way he drafts, I don't think it's out of the question that he doesn't go offensive tackle early in this draft. I do think they think if he has to start, Larry Borom can start. Do I think he thinks we're good? Not that he ever has said that in the past. No, I don't think he says that. He thinks that otherwise they would have signed Larry Borom to a 3-year, $40 million deal, right? Like, even if they are confident and think, hey, let's go into the draft and get the best guy available, the contract is all you need to know about what they actually think of Larry Borom. A 1 year, $5 million is not the kind of deal you give to a guy you expect to start 17 games for you at right tackle.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna throw it over to you anyway because I think Ryan. I think the thing that fans are gonna probably find out like once training camp kicks off is that Borom might be in the mix as far as like competition a little bit more than they thought he would be, regardless of what the Lions do in the draft. But I think to Jeremy's point, the contract kind of speaks for itself in terms of maybe at least what the floor of the expectation is for Larry Borom.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I want to say though, I hate this because the trolls have finally won. Now they can actually abuse a Brad Holmes quote and twist it in a way that if you add some ellipses there, the "we feel good about both of them," that's a "we good" statement. So like now they can properly attribute that quote because he's put that out there. But I do think that like if you back up in that quote, he says, you're talking about guys that have been starters in the NFL, but just kind of look at where the trend is going, where the arrow's going. So like he still sees them on this upward progression, and you sign those guys to 1 year deals. You see if they're still on that progression or if they're progressing over the course of the season, and then you can reassess and maybe you keep them. Maybe the Lions do draft an offensive tackle, but you really like Larry Borom and he settles nicely into a swing tackle role and he wants to come back. Maybe that works for you. Maybe you don't end up drafting an offensive tackle and you stick with Larry Borom. There's still Gio. Like I know that's not the route that I would take, but like you have Borom, you have Gio. If you want to see that if it works this year, if it does, great. Then maybe you can sign Larry Borom to a longer term 2-3 year deal, or you can go back into the same draft cycle and be looking for another offensive tackle. Like that, there's a lot of things that are on the table, and we've talked about this ad nauseum all offseason long. Like free agency is just a means for Brad Holmes to fill out the roster without going in to the draft with an obvious need. I think they're there though. Like I still think they have a very obvious need at offensive tackle, like in the long term. I don't know if I'm willing to put all my chips on the table for Larry Borom, but it's clear that I don't think Brad Holmes is either.
Yeah, and I think he kind of shows that, Jeremy, when he talks about, like, hey, you can't ever have enough offensive tackles or you can't have enough edge players. Like, I think, again, it's the media's job to ask these type of questions to get Brad to kind of slip up or to kind of give something that they can turn it into a story. But I mean, he gives the political answer where it's like, oh yeah, you can never have enough of those guys. And it's like, I kind of believe that when it comes to edge. I don't know if I necessarily ever thought that way when it came to offensive tackles. Like, oh yeah, you should probably stockpile multiple of those guys.
Right. I mean, the weird thing is, and it led to one of the more awkward moments of his press conference is he called offensive tackle a premium position, right? And then he was asked like, oh, that's a term he's avoided, obviously, since the 2023 draft, premium positions. And then he was asked, what do you consider a premium position? And he's like, I don't know. Don't you guys think, it's everything that we didn't draft in 2023, right? And then we're just like, no, just tell us what you think. Don't. And he just, for whatever reason, he was being a little adversarial there, but kind of par for the course for him. But yeah, I definitely agree with what he said there, which was you stockpile them if you can because they're rare. They're hard to find. There are not 64 quality offensive tackles out there in the NFL right now. And so if one is sitting there in your lap at 17, they have to be in consideration whether you need one this year or not. The Lions just so happen to need one this year. And even if, Brad Holmes does believe in Larry Borom as a potential starting right tackle, I think he would also acknowledge that if he has an offensive tackle there in the draft that he really likes, even if they don't start it right away. Like we've talked for the last month here about the offensive tackle class and how all of them have, some sort of flaw in them. But if they think that flaw is either correctable or they can work around it or he needs some development to get there, take him. Take him even if you like Larry Borom as your week one starter, because that is not something that's easy to find. It's why they took a swing on Gio, right? Is, hey, if that develops, that is suddenly outstanding value for a starting right tackle, left tackle, whatever. So, I know some people are going to panic over what he said. earlier with not, not feeling the need like he has to complement what they have at edge or offensive tackle. But I think he certainly understands the value of a really good offensive tackle, so much so that if a good one is there, he's definitely not going to pass up.
And Ryan, it kind of brings me back to when Jeremy talks about, we've talked about offensive tackle quite a bit. It brings me to like a couple different offensive tackles that we've talked about where we've been like, well, do you take a guy like Spencer Fano at 17 with the thought in the back of your mind that he might actually be more of a guard than he is a tackle? The same thing with, Maui Noah. The same thing with a guy like Caden Proctor, who over the last couple of, weeks or a couple of days, he's been getting a lot of attention, or at least a lot of dot connecting between him and the Detroit Lions. When you hear Brad say like, hey, yeah, you take a guy just because you don't know if you'll never need that guy later down the line, does it make it seem more plausible that maybe the Lions are looking at guys that don't just specialize at tackle, but like actually have that versatility, so that, to Jeremy's point, if you really like Larry Borom at right tackle, you can still take a guy, you can still take a Fano, you can still take a Maui Noah, you can still take a Caden Proctor if they're there.
Yeah, I really am starting to believe, outside of Penei Sewell, and admittedly they want to move him from right tackle to left tackle, I'm really starting to believe that they just want the best five alive on that line. And they want to put them in a spot that works for them as a team. Like, just go back to last offseason, right? Like, they wanted to put Tate Ratledge at center, but the best five included Graham playing center and Tate Ratledge playing guard. So I think with any of the prospects that have that tackle, guard, in the case of Fano, like you said, that center potential versatility, I think that they're open to that. And I'm starting to kind of think of things in a way with the Lions and their drafting as like, needs, wants, and luxuries, I think, in my opinion. And like, when I look at a pick like Gio, that almost seems like it was a luxury pick, right? Like, it's a later pick. Maybe he ends up being an awesome offensive tackle, but you have Decker and you have Sewell at that point. You feel good at tackle. The Lions, I think they want an offensive tackle. I think they've maybe not talked themselves into, but they signed Larry Borom. They don't have an outright need there. But I think they want an offensive tackle. And I think maybe they're going to great lengths to maybe throw people off that scent. And if that guy ends up being Caden Proctor, if it's not a tackle, then maybe he's a guard. And if he's a guard, he can outplay Christian Mahogany. Like, he can outplay whoever the Lions have penciled in at left guard right now. If he can't outperform, or if he can't meet the standard that they want at right tackle to place Larry Borom.
Right.
So I think that just at this point, I think the Lions want an offensive lineman. I don't think they need one right now, but they definitely want one.
Yeah, one of my regrets from today's press conference, and I went going in wanting to ask this question, and I got a different question in, and not a second one, was just what his thoughts are on the left guard situation, because all the talk this offseason has just been tackle, center, then tackle. But like, that left guard position is very much up for grabs, right? We've talked about it here. We kind of think it might be a little bit of a bloodbath between Miles Frazier, between Christian Mahogany. They added some other, Juice Scruggs is probably going to be a part of that conversation as well. But do they view any of those guys as a clear starter? Now, I'm sure I would have gotten a factory answer from Brad Holmes, because he's not going to tip his hand, and he shouldn't be tipping his hand this close to the draft. But it does, I think, keep things in play for exactly what you said. So get one of these tackle guys that maybe some people think is a little bit more of a guard, have him play guard early, and then you figure out what you have with your tackle situation this year, depending on who's playing at what position, or you're moving a guy, whatever. See what it looks like for a year, and then decide then whether, hey, we're going to put this new guard at tackle, or we're going to keep him at guard. And, you give yourself options by just, like you said, adding more offensive line talent and seeing where it fits, getting your best five guys out there.
Ben Barch, too.
Ben Barch, right. Totally forgot about him.
Lot. I mean, they've done so many proliferary things with the offensive line. It's kind of hard to keep track of, but Miko, they have a lot of names there. And I don't have a problem with them drafting another name. Especially if they can be a dude, right? I think we agree that you see Caden Proctor, and I know you're in on drafting him, because it's like, you have that kind of size, and if you can bring that to the NFL, that could be a real game changer.
Yeah, I think that's been some of the happiest news, like happiest like draft rumors in regards to what the Lions could do at 17 that I've heard, right? Outside of like Francis Mauigoa falling to 17, it's like, hey, the Lions probably aren't. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah is going as bold to say like, hey, he's not getting past Detroit. Um, Obviously that's speculation, right? There's no guarantee that that's who the Lions have automatically have penciled in. I think Brad even kind of alluded to as much as like, hey, we haven't even necessarily picked out like our day one guys, which I also will probably call horse potatoes on. Like, there's no way that.
Well, I want a tinfoil hat and just say he's just baiting Howie Roseman. He wants Howie Roseman to trade up so bad for Caden Proctor.
Can we talk about the rumor? Because I was talking about this with one of the Lions beat writers, and I don't want to say his name just in case he doesn't want it out there. But don't you find it completely strange that this entire offseason, including free agency, the Lions have been an absolute fortress in terms of like free agent signings? The Lions are able to announce like 3 or 4 on their own, which is almost unheard of across the league. They don't give out contract details when those things are announced. Right now, I think the top 30 visit list is like 6 players long, while everyone else is like 15 players long. But the one rumor across like 4 or 5 different NFL analysts is Caden Proctor. Caden Proctor, Caden Proctor, Caden Proctor. That's it. That's the only name that we've heard. And even like the top 30 guys, all those guys are like day 3 guys. Those are the ones that they're letting leak. We're not hearing anything about the day 1 guys. We're not hearing much about the day 2 guys. But somehow, like, someone is just constantly putting Caden Proctor out there, and I am suspicious. Very suspicious.
You know what that is, Miko? The best place to hide sometimes is in plain sight.
Plain sight? Yeah. Listen, and if that ends up being what it is, I will absolutely take it. But, like, I think, to your point, though, Jeremy, I also think Caden Proctor is, like, a prospect that is, like, his name has been all over the place. Like, it's not just like he's been just linked to Detroit. Like,
sure,
he's been linked as high as 6 to Cleveland. So it's one of those things where I think Ryan might be onto something when you talk about like, is Brad Holmes and the Lions maybe trying to bait somebody into like, hey, if you really like Caden Proctor, you got to definitely get ahead of the Lions because he's not getting past 17.
Tinfoil hats and chat.
I think one of the other like more interesting things that Brad Holmes talked about in his press conference today is the whole like aging draft classes thing. It was kind of posed in a couple of different ways, but I think when it kind of boils it down to is like whether you look at the COVID years or just the fact that guys are staying like in college just naturally longer, how does that necessarily like impact how the Lions are going to kind of approach? And I do feel like somebody that was asking this question, whoever did ask this question, was kind of baiting an Akeem Mesidor type of like nod of like, how do you feel about Akeem Mesidor? But I mean, again, I think Brad had a really good like response to this, and quote, he said, maybe with some position that maturity helps. Sometimes it might be more a little bit more of a warning sign. Jeremy, like, how did you feel about Brad's like response to that question and his overall stance on when it comes down to like aging draft classes?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's how he answers a lot of questions, which is like it's case by case. We're gonna look at each guy individually, and but I think honestly, the more interesting answer was the whole idea of the second contract, right? That's something that we hear a lot of narrative around. Well, you know, if you sign a 24 or draft a 24, 25-year-old player, second contract is going to be damn near 30. Is that worth it? And Brad kind of said yes. Like he kind of said, yes, it matters. Not yes, it's worth it. He said, you've got to be prepared for that because it's real, man. I say it, look, a guy's 24, 25-year-olds now. He's going to be looking at 30 at the time his second contract comes. Okay, so how much longevity is it? Maybe he hasn't played a long time and he doesn't have much wear and tear, but father time is father time too. You have to look at it all, and it is case by case, but it is real too. So, I mean, that's the closest to him giving like an actual answer, I think, today, of saying like, yeah, that matters. That's going to matter to us. We are drafting long-term players for you know, I think this is part of, you know, this whole draft develop, re-sign thing is we're not just drafting for the rookie contract. We're drafting for these guys to be part of this team for a decade. And if you're drafting a 25-year-old, that might not be too easy. So I'm not saying this is like taking Akeem Mesidor off their board, but it's certainly going to factor in to whether they draft someone like him or not. And I find that very fun, very interesting.
Yeah. Another thing that I find really interesting about from a roster construction standpoint, though, is if you think of it in the way where I know there's a player that Miko is going to talk about in the second segment who's a little bit older. I think he's 25 years old. But if you draft that guy in the second round and you get his years 25 through 28 and you get a ton of production out of him, but if it's at a rather quote unquote like replaceable position, well, then you got a guy who is older in age, more prepared and seasoned, ready to come and make an immediate impact day one. Sure. You get him for the quote unquote early prime, and then you can let him move on for big dollars elsewhere. And not saying that you're ready to start playing the comp pick game, but at these positions, guys, that I think that you can draft every couple of years or so like that. I think that's a really smart way of doing business moving forward in the NFL with these older players who are sticking around in college longer because they're getting paid more in college. When they make that jump to the NFL, if they're essentially, if they've had like so much seasoning in college, you're getting a much more developed player for that early part of their NFL career. And that could just be a way of offsetting some of these guys that, you know, Jeremy pointed out, they love drafting and developing and re-signing their own. There's got to be way you can't do that with 53 guys on the roster. There has to be shortcuts and there has to be ways to make this work in a sustainable way. And that might be one of them.
That's a really good point, though, because I think when I think about Akeem Messidor and I'm thinking like, okay, 25-year-old pass rusher, there's certain positions in the NFL, to Brad Holmes' point, like father time is father time. But in that same way, some positions just get better with age. Some players, some position groups just seem to like age at the pace of a fine wine. And I do think like typically when you look at edge players, as long as like speed isn't their go-to thing, that's one of those positions where you're like, hey, if he's a technician, if it's a power player or things like that, yeah, like those are guys that eventually like maybe they start outside, eventually kick inside type of guys. And that's in the light of Akeem Messidor, that's at least what I would like project or at least think in with a player like that. But when you talk about players that are maybe linebackers or maybe corners, like, yeah, those players do kind of have a faster turn rate. And if you can get a player who like you like, but you're like, man, he's a little bit older, I do wonder, like, are more teams going to adopt that type of philosophy, that type of thought process of like, hey, we're going to take this guy, maybe not in like, you know, in the first round, but maybe day two, still take a guy that's a little bit older. And we just realized that like, hey, we're going to maximize the rookie contract and then hopefully get some sort of compensation, whether it's via a trade, maybe it's through a comp pick, and continue to keep our roster, you know, young and developing in that regard, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating conversation about these aging prospects because one, it's just going to it's going to continue to be the norm, right? As NIL becomes more and more prevalent, as funds become more and more available in college, unless there's some sort of regulation that happens in the next few years, kids are going to stay. But I like, there's the one thing where when Brad Holmes says sometimes it might be a little bit of a warning sign, that's the part that really interests me is when you see, you know, a 21-year-old in this year's draft class versus a 25-year-old, you have to wonder, well, this 21-year-old got to where he was a lot quicker. Why did it take the 25-year-old so long to break out? And further, did this 25-year-old break out because he's much more built? He's had all this sauce in him. He's had building upon build. Like 25-year-old should be beating up 21-year-olds on the field, right? And so if you're a 21-year-old who distinguished yourself in the draft class, I think you then think the ceiling is already higher, right? You think this guy probably has a higher ceiling, a bigger developmental trend, and if he's already playing at the level of some 25-year-old out there, you probably think he's a better prospect. And so I think that's kind of how I interpret Brad Holmes' words. I'm not saying I 1,000% agree with that evaluation, but saying, and again, like you said, you know, every case is different, but saying that they're you know, a 25-year-old in the draft class might be actually a warning sign that that player has taken too long to develop or couldn't find the field in his first 3 or 4 years or whatever. Again, you have to take it by case, but I just thought that was a really interesting way to put it.
Yeah. The last thing I would say to that, though, is that I think it comes with a caveat of like premium positions. I think those, not to take it back to Brad Holmes' favorite term, but like those non-premium positions you talked about, Miko, maybe the off-ball linebackers, the nickel cornerbacks that are a dime a dozen, guard. Maybe these are some of those positions where you view those guys as day 3 guys, but hey, maybe you might even take one late day 2 because you want to get him because you know that he'll be day 1 ready. Like, right. And I think that's kind of like our focus for the second segment too, though, is the Lions have that pick at 17. They have that pick at 50. Those guys need to be contributors. They can't just be like special teams guys. Like, those guys have to play some meaningful snaps on either offense or defense for them to be for the Lions to accomplish the things that I think they want to accomplish as a team.
Yeah. Another thing to come out of this press conference, though, is related to this draft process is some of the changes that the Lions are doing. And this one kind of caught me off guard when Brad kind of brought it up, in the fact that like they've kind of done away with the local pro day. And Jeremy, I'm not sure if this was something that you were already privy to or the first time that you heard it like in the press conference, but like that to me was like a little bit of an eyebrow raise of like, obviously Brad clarified like they're still looking at local talent, like they're still going to have them in on visits and things like that, but the pro day aspect of it, they're no longer going to hold.
Yeah.
What do you kind of like glean from that?
Yeah, that was I can't remember which beat reporter, or maybe it was Burkett revealed it, maybe it was Justin, but yeah, I was the one that asked him the question because I was like, that seems like such a easy, not fun, but like important part of the process is you have this ability to bring in as many local products, whether that's guys that went to Michigan State or guys that are just like Detroit homegrown guys, bring them all in, get a chance to evaluate a bunch of guys, you know, for free, in that like it's not costing you a top 30 visit or whatever. And they decided to move away from it. And I didn't get a great answer out of Brad, but what I guess what's interesting to me is just like seeing a change in development in their scouting process. You know, he also didn't go to the owners' meetings because he thought that was a time suck and that he'd have to kind of like play catch up. It all kind of plays into this overall view, which I think is a positive view, is that they are not being complacent about how their process is. I think a lot of people view this front office, maybe even this coaching staff, as a little bit stubborn at times, yet everything they said since the season ended is, we're evaluating everything we're doing, we're going to put under a microscope and potentially change. And, you know, whether it's coaches, whether it's our free agency process, whether it's our scouting process, we're going to change. Now, when it comes to the local pro day, I take his example to heart. I think when he says, you know, we can take in these local prospects and have the individual visits, you know, basically top 30 visits, but they don't count against your top 30 because they're local guys. We're just going to replace it with that. I think you can do that. I don't know the ins and outs of locals days versus local visits and how much more efficient that is. But Brad Holmes basically said, we're going to try it out. And if we don't like it, we can always go back. And I kind of appreciate that. I kind of appreciate the ability to be flexible, the ability to think outside the box a little bit. You know, I think a lot of times the Rams get all this praise for not going to the NFL Combine because they're different, and you know, maybe it works for them, maybe it doesn't work for them. I don't suspect the Lions will do that anytime soon, but I just like the idea of changing, evolving, even if it doesn't work out in a positive way. You're showing a willingness to change, and that's something that I think Lions fans have been eager to see since last year when or I.
Yeah, and even like you said, to even change back, right? And that quote, what he actually said is, you know, if we feel like we missed something by not doing it, we'll look at it and adjust it again, right? Yep. So it's like, we're willing to make a change, see if it works. And I'm even telling you right now, before we even do the thing, if it doesn't work, then we'll think about changing it again. So like it does kind of speak volumes, Miko, to an organization that for the most part gets painted in a broad stroke with they're stuck in their ways and they do their things the way they do them.
Yeah, it does give me a little bit of confidence, right? In a lot of like faith in not just the organization's like ability to adapt and change. It gives me faith that maybe Jeremy will change his stance on trading up, because like that's another thing that Brad Holmes was like, hey, if it's worth it and we see a guy and we feel like that guy's really going to do, have a significant impact on this roster, we'll change there. We'll go ahead and we'll pull the trigger on that type of move. Maybe Jeremy will eventually come around to trading trading up specifically.
It was an interesting moment in the press conference because the way the question was phrased, it wasn't clear if they were asking about free agency or the draft. It was like it was kind of, he's been asked a similar question about free agency before, or like a trade for Max Crosby like type of thing, where it's like, hey, if you feel like you're one player away from getting to the Super Bowl, would you go and get that player? And his answer every single time is, I don't believe in being one player away. Like, because what if you make that move and he gets injured? What if you do this? What if you that? Like, that's been his answer. That wasn't his answer today. And I'm not sure if that's because he misinterpreted the answer or, his head was just so in the draft. He's like, oh, you want me to trade up? Of course I'm going to trade up. Like, I love trading up. Like, that's, and
I think he was being a little coy though, as well though. Because like, to your point, Brad has always been kind of like you're like to that point of like, hey, you're never really one player away. Like it's a kind of a silly question to ask. I feel like when he repeats a question back to you, he's trying to make sure like, wait, you really asking me like if I thought there was a player that would guarantee us a Super Bowl visit, would I trade for them? Like, yes. Like, who's not pulling the trigger on a trade that guarantees you a Super Bowl visit?
Where's the lamp? Where's the lamp with that genie in it? Like, I'll get to rubbing.
Right. But yeah, the obvious real response to that question is that doesn't exist. There isn't a magical player out there that automatically gets you to the Super Bowl. And I kind of wish he would have said that. Instead, it feels to me like he has, and I've brought this up before, it feels like he has a different philosophy when it comes to free agency in the draft. He's willing to go all in the draft to get a guy that he really likes. He's not willing to do it in free agency. And I understand that there are differences in there. Like when you do it in the draft, you're getting a low cost guy for several years, and at the very beginning of their development, when you're doing it via trade in free agency for guys, it costs not only a lot of draft capital but a ton of cap space. But it does feel a little bit weird to me that he is so willing to go all in on a draft guy that he really likes and won't even broach the subject in free agency.
Ryan, I think it puts us back where we were at when we were talking about Caden Proctor. Like, maybe he's just trying to bait everyone and be like, hey, like, we like this player, or we may be willing to trade up everything to go get said player just to see who's willing to bite, and being like, yeah, you go up and get that guy and push these players down further to the Lions.
I know what will bait me is a new promo code, Nico.
Oh, you don't say. Because like that's something that I think would be an amazing opportunity to get. Like, obviously, we're talking about the draft. We're talking about being able to get like that top pick and being able to get that top pick right. You don't ever have to worry about that with Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, because that's always the right pick. Doesn't matter if you're picking at number 1. Doesn't matter if you're picking at 17. It doesn't matter. You're going to get an amazing product. And the Pride of Detroit PODcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit PODcast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all-natural Black Angus beef, and it prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. And like Ryan said, this is a time when, like, it would be awesome if you could actually experience this product and it not really hurt your wallet all that much. And thankfully, because you guys have been such amazing supporters of Righteous Felon, as well as the Pride of Detroit PODcast, you actually get to have that opportunity this draft season. With the 2026 NFL draft coming up, we're running a new promo code with even bigger savings. So if you use the promo code DRAFT POD26, you will get 26% off your order. That means more meat sticks. That means more bags of jerky. That means trying flavors that you've just never tried. Like, if you haven't tried the duo pack with the beef stick and the cheese, if you haven't tried Honey Heist, if you never got to experience the joy that Foul Capone can give your soul when you bite into a Foul Capone meat stick, this is the perfect time to capitalize on all of that. So again, use the promo code DRAFT POD26 at righteousfelon.com and save 26% off your order. This is a limited time deal, so definitely get over to the website and take advantage of this now before it's gone for the rest of the year. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what else the Lions need to do or what positions they may need to focus on outside of tackle and edge, because we've talked about that. But the Lions do have other needs. We're going to talk about what potential players they could focus on also at the top of the draft and maybe even later in the draft as well. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right after this.
All right, we're on break. The one thing, only other one thing I wanted to bring up is Brad Holmes clearly calling me out during the draft or when he was talking about trading up. Hold on, let me see.
He looked at you dead in your soul and
no,
was like,
he actually didn't.
Like,
I think he purposely avoided eye contact because he knew I was staring daggers at him.
He was worried about your gaze.
I so hope someone clips this and send it to Brad to the next press conference.
I could intimidate a single soul on this earth with my gaze.
Could you imagine if Brad showed up post day 2 with a hoodie on with Jeremy's face on it?
That's what I was gonna say. If he just showed up and just like opens the jacket and it's Jeremy's face.
So here's the quote. He was asked if you would go all in trade for one player if you think absolutely, yeah, if it's the right guy. You guys know me. I feel like you guys get mad at me sometimes, like I do it too much sometimes.
Ooh, okay. Well, hey, if the shoe fits.
I honestly looked around to see if anyone was looking at me after that one. Oops.
She's just been like, yeah, I said it.
Bro, I hope he does trade up in some round that people are gonna be upset about it, and then he just comes in with a shirt that says wanted and it's him for trading up. Just troll everybody.
Dude, I do find it really interesting that it is like the fortress of solitude.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like, you know, that like, what is Brad like? Just like close the doors. Like, he's not talking to the media, and he's just, you know, football and everything. Like, I want to know if he can be as petty behind closed doors as it seems like he wants to be outwardly sometimes.
Can I say this? As someone who is extremely self-conscious myself, I feel like he's a little too self-conscious. Because it feels like every single press conference he brings up something that someone has said about him. Every single time.
I don't know I guess self-conscious is a word for it. I look at it as someone who like, and it's not, I want to say it's not just him. I think a lot more like this new age of like general managers and coaches across like multiple sports are like, no, say that with your whole chest.
Sure. And listen,
yeah,
columnists, reporters all deserve it on some level, right? If we're going to publish things, and we are putting our name behind it for sure, but we're not directly saying it to these people's face, right? I'm not going up to Brad Holmes and saying, "Stop trading up, you're ruining the team." I'm not doing that. I'm writing an article about it. Like he certainly has within his right to call me out, but I'm just saying that I feel like that kind of goes against what this team professes to be all about. We're the villains. We'll go do what we want. We have no egos. We don't listen to the outside noise.
Height, weight, speed.
Yeah, it's
salty.
Well, yeah, I've got salty. They're certainly living up to that.
Yeah, I think there may be a semblance of that truth that they like believe that's who they are, but like, yeah, like the actions kind of show it. Like, no, we hear everything, we see everything.
Yeah, maybe that's right. And maybe now Brad is just chip on his shoulder guy.
Yeah, because I think whether you look at it, whether it's like what Brad Holmes does, like I think something even as little, which I still think is cool, and I think it's funny that they do it, but like the receivers taking everybody's celebration that they play, and it's just like we're gonna troll everyone.
Okay, that's honestly very fair. Very fair. Maybe this team isn't as innocent as they pretended to be in the first couple of years. Maybe they got a little too to them.
Well, because because I think even if you go back to Dan's press conference, it was a little bit of that of like,
well, we got to get back to what we used to be. a little bit?
Well, no, I meant like his first press conference where they're like, "Hey, if you punch us in the face, we're gonna smile at you and then like
Oh
take a
yeah.
kneecap type stuff." It's like it's not just on the football field. It's like, oh no, you say something out of pocket, we'll take it. We're not gonna say something crazy back in the media. We're gonna smile at you, and then like you're gonna know that we know.
Yeah. It's I guess to me the juxtaposition is Dan and Brad. They have very different press conferences. Dan would never posterize a reporter, right? Like never.
The only
No,
When?
didn't he posterize? Didn't he posterize? Was it? Oh yeah, it was Macaron. Didn't he posterize him over a ridiculous question last year?
Well, okay, yeah. I don't know if we can count that.
Well, I was gonna say the only
There's
other
one.
time I heard him like really get into it with a reporter was Dave, but that was after the Dallas game. And,
Right.
Like,
And he
obviously Dan
and
was
he
in a- and
immediately apologized.
Yes.
Immediately apologized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, chat's already all, I don't like losing, Dave.
I like
And I'm
losing,
sorry, I know
Dave.
you're asking a question.
And he has like the paper, and he's like, "I don't like losing, Dave."
But I guess my point is I would never
birthday,
ever
by the
ever
way.
see Dan Campbell pull a receipt
Well, but
in front of the media. I bet he does it behind the media all the time.
When did you get your first whiff of this? Like,
What?
first like real whiff of like, oh, Brad's like,
23 without a doubt.
yeah, but specifically, the inside the den. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, here's like all these people who are saying these things about the draft class. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of like,
Right.
so what? Right?
Right.
Like everybody had all this stuff to say, and like
Yeah.
these guys are these guys now. But then, right? No, inside the den in 24, and like,
That goes to my theory that this team is trying to become more and more lockdown security. I don't want you guys to know anything about us anymore.
Well, yeah, because like,
so what's the why the shift though?
I don't know.
The like because 23
know.
is beating your chest.
Yeah.
24,
Yeah.
they literally don't make one.
Yeah.
The draft was in Detroit.
Yeah, didn't they have to like be bullied into it eventually?
They,
Like,
they
talk
didn't do
about
it in
the draft?
2024.
Oh yeah.
But
They
in
did it for
25 they did.
25, so maybe they got bullied into it in 25. But like, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
The tinfoil
screams
hat.
black mom to me, of like, oh, you didn't like what I got you. And then guess what? Never getting it again.
No,
Funny story, like,
Rago,
about
the Witherspoon was 23.
Funny story about that is like there was a Christmas where like we just like weren't super excited or super pumped up about like what we got. Like not that we got bad stuff, but like my mom had went like to like the extreme to like wrap our stuff and everything like that. The next year we got our gifts in like trash bags. Like she was just like black trash bags is what we got. Still cool stuff, but she was like, I'm not about to put the effort into wrapping this stuff. I feel like that's what Brad Holmes is on right now, where it's like, I'm not about to. You want me to put my production team through all this rigorous like work just for you guys not to appreciate the draft class? No, screw you guys.
It is a ton of work too, but yeah. I don't know. That decision still remains one of the more perplexing of the Lions organization, and I know
What one's that?
just not doing Inside the Den in 2024.
Oh,
I know it wasn't. Not everyone was on board. I should say. I'm not going to say who was and wasn't because it's not my story to tell. But just
and I don't know
that's
either,
not
but
right.
I'm just gonna guess it's Rod Wood. We can keep going.
I was gonna say we keep putting this on Brad. It was clearly Rod Wood that was like, absolutely not. We need to save that money,
Obviously,
for something else.
Obviously. Alert
if only
before we get
Frank had
trouble.
retired a year early and we had that extra money, they would have been able to afford Inside the Den.
Not enough cash flow in Allen Park.
Lions Blood 22 has DM'd me a photo of Brad's next T-shirt.
Oh man. Listen,
There you go.
make it. Someone make it and send it to Allen Park. Like,
But also, I think that Brad's might have crosshairs over your face.
Oh, that's. I think I have to view that as a threat.
It's like, who do I talk to about that?
All right. Let me get to alerts here, and then we can.
It should just say anti-trading up over you. Like,
oh no! Don't do it, Brad. LJ, thank you for the 71 months subscribed on Twitch. Says hello, Darkness, my old friend. We are late to the podcast start time again.
listen, we have a black host now, so we run on BPT around here. Get used to it.
You can say that because it's not Black History Month anymore.
Also, truthfully, it's rarely ever my fault. To be completely honest, it's the other two guys.
What? Me? I'm usually the first in this call. Well, when it was a Zoom link.
You
Now
know,
I
admittedly-
have to wait for the link.
Yeah, admittedly, sometimes I'm running a little behind. But I also have to
used to be
travel
me.
out. I have to travel outside of my home to do this, so
That is true.
there is that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
Get
we're
it?
all in this together.
Get a green screen. Unless you already had one.
Yeah, but it's like a noise thing at my house. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to worry about like screaming or
Duct
barking.
tape.
Yeah. Look, Brian, just do what everyone said to me when I was like recording out of my bedroom. Just get a bigger house.
Easy. Done. Okay. Sorry. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
I know, right?
Dan
Just
misses
giving
your
away
shelf.
larger houses.
R.I.P.
I-
to the channel point redemption of something
My
on your
bookshelf.
shelf. Your
Yeah.
bookshelf.
It is what it is. I think people in chat should, while Jeremy is reading alerts, they should come up with ways in which you would know. I feel very whose line is it anyways, but like ways in which you know Brad Holmes is targeting Jeremy at his next press conference. My example is he shows up and he's eating mozzarella sticks during the entire press conference. That's how we can remove all doubt. He's not throwing any subliminals. He's crunching, he's dipping as he's talking about things. You know that it's no longer a subliminal. So in chat, we need a bunch of ways in which you know Brad Holmes is talking to Jeremy during his next press conference. He references Mad Men.
A picture of my scene in Mad Men would be incredible.
Or if he
Das
walks in
Gibb,
with a fro on.
thank you to 54 months subscribed on Twitch. Appreciate you. John Johnson, 18 months on Twitch. Luxtables, 36 months. Says, been a minute since I could catch one of these live. Glad to be back. Hey, thanks for being here, Luxtables. I'm always excited by the people who show their excitement for catching us live, because that's why we do the live streaming stuff. It's much more fun for us, and it's good to hear that you guys enjoy it a lot more than just catching us on replay as well. DC Smithers, £5 super chat over on YouTube, says, what does it say about the Lions that Brad Holmes couldn't take 3 days off in the sun while Dan Campbell could go to Jake Lazer's day drinking party with Michael Phelps? It's Brad Holmes season. That's what it tells you.
I just hope that he wasn't in any bungalows in Arizona. Any private bungalows in Arizona. I hope that he wasn't up to anything.
Dan or
nefarious.
Brad?
Both.
I was gonna say, I think it's pretty safe that like Dan wasn't there just by like the sheer volume that his wife was posting while they were down there. Like,
True.
That is
there's
true.
like there's
Also, shout out
there's
Dan
enough
Campbell.
of a breadcrumb. There's enough of a breadcrumb to know what the Campbells were up to in Arizona.
Shout out Dan Campbell's 50th today. Big 5-0.
Oh, what's
Yeah.
up? Big 5-0.
Really funny video posted by Holly of just like him singing along at
Yeah.
concerts, him in a grass
Dude,
big grass, what do you call it, grass skirt?
grass skirt, yeah. He was
eyeing
singing
the-
Hall and Oates.
Was it
Did he
whole,
sing-
I was trying to figure out,
The second
song
one,
was
he
it?
was singing Private Eyes.
how does that song go?
Private Eyes, they're watching you.
Oh, that, yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They're watching you. Yeah, I couldn't tell what the first one was, but her on Instagram has just been a joy.
Oh, compared to what we had previously?
What do you mean by that?
The last very active on social media woman to be involved
Spouse.
in the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
The spouse of a high-ranking Lions.
I'm not going to play it, but I will share it in the chat because it does have copyright music being played over it. And we're trying to be super careful about that because...
And YouTube's not a fun place anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the audience, the actual platform.
Yeah, that's good distinction there.
There's some... Real quick, Kyle G said Brad Holmes shows up in a Macho Man Randy Savage outfit. That's a good one. Drew Falcon said Brad thanks Sean for a thoughtful question.
If I ask a question, he goes, "Thank you, Sean." Oh my
Thanks,
god,
Sean.
that's classic.
You would know that Andrew Cotto's on payroll though, if some stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Captain James T. Kirk, he references how effective it was to have POD foot the bill for half of Petsing's salary. And I really liked Shanked. Brad pulls out bamboozled beans and tosses them every time Jeremy starts to open his mouth.
He just brings like a bottle of Vegemite and just puts it on the podium. Ugh. All right. Johnny Utah, thank you for the 10 months subscribed on Twitch. Says, took me a while to figure out how to link my Amazon. Shout out Charlie Batch. That is your 10-month, Charlie Batch.
Oh, yeah. Nice job.
I would have gone with, I don't know who, I was going to say Eddie Drummond, but I think Eddie Drummond was, no, he was 10. Or was he 18?
Eddie Drummond was, I think he was 11. No, because that was Roy Williams, right? I think Eddie Drummond was 11.
Now I need to know.
18.
Utah, it was 18. Dang it.
Dang it.
Who's another notable 10? Why does that feel like it's barely used? Marvin Jones was 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then 0. Very briefly.
Isaiah Pacheco.
Isaiah Pacheco.
Did we say David Blau? Wasn't David Blau 10?
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was.
But I said no.
It was Ronnie Bell. Were you a big Ronnie Bell guy?
Hey.
Ow. Just hit my teeth on my microphone. That hurt. Anyways. Q note, thank you for the 16 months. Says golf MVP season loading. 16 months. Oh man, our viewership's about to drop. The Red Wings game just started.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember a couple weeks ago when I was like, yeah, they're not making the playoffs. They're dead. They're toast. And you're like, no, come on. They got time. I was like, Miko, don't listen to Jeremy. The Red Wings are
They did have time.
They did.
I mean, yeah, that was a factual
you were being
statement.
honest. Yeah, they did have time. They did have time. They had time much in the same way that like somebody laying down waiting for a steamroller to press them has time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Austin Powers
Like,
scene?
I was thinking more like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but
Okay. Well, in Austin Powers, he's just waiting. He's going, no! And it's taking forever. I think that was what the Red Wings season was. It was like, you have time to get out of the way and pull out of this. And they're just like, no!
How dare we forget to Teddy Bridgewater is number 10 after he was number 50.
He's only number 50 to me. Sorry,
That's
Teddy.
fair. That's fair.
Dude Bottom, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Rye is boy 95 bits on Twitch says, finally a resident of Michigan again. Hey, welcome back.
picked a good time to come back.
Yeah.
Aside for like possibly the 3 days of thunderstorms that are gonna be here, but other than that, like,
Let's just not rain tomorrow night because I might be going to the Tigers game, so don't do that.
Agreed.
Kyle G, 14 months, says I'm on our anniversary. Accurate. Can you name another 14 though? I most certainly cannot.
I'm
Probably a
blanking-
quarterback.
I'm blanking on a quarterback.
Oh,
I think Gus Frerotte was 12.
Okay.
Sean Hill. Okay, that's what I was
Sean
thinking
Hill.
too.
Yeah.
Sean Hill. Sean Hill was
Sean
14. I
Hill?
thought he was 13.
Sean Hill, Jake Rudock. He was
Sean Hill was
13. So Sean Hill was 13 for the Vikings and the 49ers, but 14 for the
Okay.
Lions. I didn't know that Pro Football Reference has a page for every player to wear
Oh,
this
everyone
number.
that wore it. Yeah.
So
Did Jake Rudock really wear 14? I thought he wore 13.
He did wear 14.
mhm.
R.I.P. Jake Rudock with 2 D's, who never existed, but everybody commenting.
that was my litmus test to whether I valued your opinion or not. If you spelled Jake Rudock with 2 D's, I'm like, okay, I don't need to pay attention to you.
A lot like in the pre-draft process with Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh,
An
AIDEN.
E instead of an A.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't need to care about what you say.
I will fully admit that's like the most
Snooty?
snooty
Yeah.
that I get. But like as someone who obviously like that sort of stuff really matters, spelling names right, pronouncing them right, like putting in that extra effort is very important to me. So I don't know. I'm probably holding people to too high of a standard because that shouldn't completely disvalue someone's opinion, but that's the way my snooty brain works sometimes.
How much of that played into the guy who broke the Reuben Bain stuff? Did you see his tweet?
Did he spell it
misspelled
R-E-U? I did that today, and I had to immediately delete the tweet because I noticed it as soon as I posted. I'm like, wait a second, I spelled it how the sandwich is spelled. Damn it.
Were you hungry?
I'm always hungry for a Reuben. It's an excellent sandwich.
Just not a fan of sauerkraut.
I usually am not, but I do like it when it's combined with corned beef for some reason.
Just don't like the way it smells.
Don't smell them.
Too tangy.
I almost just
Food
leaned to
talk.
the.
Sorry, food
It hurts
talk.
when I do this, so don't do this.
Yeah. So don't smell it. Don't use your olfactory senses while you eat, idiot.
As soon as I'm done with the alerts, I want to tell you about another weird injury that happened to me over the weekend. I'm not hurt at this point, but weird. A weird thing that happened. Captain James Kirk, 50-bit, says there's no way Brad was being honest today. Seemed like the classic attempt at telling the league that they aren't only looking at edge and offensive tackle to try and keep a team from trading ahead of them. Yeah, it's possible.
I think it's, yeah.
I still think the comment was more just protecting his own player, the guys that they just added, like not talking crap about Larry Borom and DJ Wonnum.
Yeah.
Those guys just got here.
Right.
It's like if you start talking about like, oh yeah, like we're really looking to upgrade. It's not like we just brought somebody in.
Yeah. Boofgerts. Never not gonna make me laugh. 25 months says it's boofing time. Boulder Detroit Lion, 4 months subscribed on Twitch, says who is on the 2027 team? Branch, Laporta, Gibbs, and or Jack Campbell.
I'll go spicy. I'll say just 2 of them.
Oof.
Ooh.
I think I'm going on the opposite end of that spiciness and saying all 4 of them.
Ooh, equally spicy take. I
Oh,
learned how to
I'll be
make
in the middle and
bold
say 3 of
predictions.
them.
Goldilocks, you'll just just right.
Yep. 3.
I actually do think it's gonna be all of them.
I was about to ask Jeremy, who are the 4? Mika, who are your 3? Who's the odd man out? I guess.
Laporta's the odd man out for me.
Oh,
Ooh, interesting.
Listen, he's traded a tight end before. I can't put it past him.
True, but not his tight end.
not his height, weight, speed guys.
I am Sam says
a tight end.
none of them.
Not that would be shocking because
I feel
one of them is 100. Like you would put a 100% chance on Jack Campbell being a Detroit Lion in 2027.
I feel like I'm not doing my job well that I don't already have a Jack Campbell extended pre-write.
That should, yeah.
That's neglect on my part. That's how sure I am that that's going to happen. And honestly, I feel like
you have no information on that.
no. Yes, to
That's
be clear.
100% gut.
Yes, and honestly, I feel that way with
feel
Gibbs
like-
too. I know there's like this, and I kind of get it, the backlash, and I think part of it has been like, I know this has been a talking point on the radio of not extending Jahmyr Gibbs and waiting because it's a high risk position. People don't like paying running backs on the second contract. They have the 5th-year option, so why not utilize that and make sure he's healthy for the next 2 years? But I thought Justin Rogers had a really good point when he wrote his, Jahmyr Gibbs extension projections. If you exercise that 5th-year option, you are paying him something like $14 million in a 1-year guaranteed salary deal, which means all of that is hitting your salary cap at once. That is
you
a
can't
sale.
spread that.
You can't spread that out. You can't turn it into a signing bonus. I mean, if you do turn it into a signing bonus, you would have to extend him essentially. So I think extension makes the most sense for creating cap space in the next couple of years. And yes, it's going to be a big financial commitment. Yes, it's probably going to be over $20 million a year, might even set the record. But I think that's how they're going to operate. And I'm not going to say I'm fully for it. I'm not going to say I'm fully against it. I'm somewhere in the middle. I mean, you guys know what I think about running back value. And when they do it, it's going to be a tremendous risk. It is, because it's just a high injury position. But I think financially it does make at least a little bit of sense in the interim.
It'll be fine, Jeremy. They'll pay him. He'll win MVP. They'll win the Super Bowl.
He'll win MVP? When's the last time a running back won MVP? Sean Alexander?
Yeah.
I think we did this, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it Sean Alexander?
Well, did Adrian Peter? I don't think
Adrian Pitt did.
Adrian Peterson when he rushed for 2,000
in 2012. That was the year he ran for 2,000. And then it was LaDainian Tomlinson, then Sean Alexander. 2006, 2005.
2000, was it 2007 LaDainian Tomlinson season?
No, 2006.
Oh yeah, that was the season he had, I think, 31 touchdowns. How do you not give it to that guy?
28 receiving, 31 total. Yeah.
Did you say 28 receiving?
I'm sorry, rushing.
I was gonna say, like, the hell were the Chargers doing?
But like, I wonder. It's funny because, and this is just a funny coincidence with Gibbs, though, is that it's Kamara redo. You know what I mean? And like that was the comp for him coming out of college. But like now it's like the contractual comparison as well. Like you're going to pay this guy, you're going to give him a second contract. The only difference is that Kamara was a day 2 pick and only had the 4-year deal. He doesn't have that 5th-year option thing that's like kind of floating around. So like made more sense maybe after year 4, okay, we're extending Kamara and we have no problem with it. He signed this is back in 2020, but 5 years, $75 million deal. And he had almost 34 of it guaranteed at signing.
Yeah.
I wonder. I don't think the Saints regret that though.
I was gonna say
I don't think you can regret it, but like you look at his numbers, and his numbers have been like, replaceable.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's more so just like, I think the Saints are textbook like example of like bad allocation of funds or bad managing of funds.
Oh, yeah.
Tech Puma has a good point. What happens if they extend Gibbs and he retires a week later? Ever think of that?
I mean, Rod Wood will come back out of the grave, out of retirement, and be like, "Hey,
give me that money
back."
There's been an update in Brad Holmes' draft attire this year. He's added a hat.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, it's backwards. It says trade up.
I really am curious on like if there's going to be another like subliminal message shirt. Okay, what it is. Also, who keeps making them for him?
Okay, so they kept doing it into last year, right? Last year was the height, weight, speed thing, right? Because they were on the day they drafted a height, weight, speed receiver.
Yeah, I'm curious on what it'll be.
I
hope it's edge. I hope it's an edge player like early, and it's just like, are you happy now? And that's just the shirt.
They just have day 2 shirts that they've already got printed out. Be like, we finally drafted an edge, or this year's team has an edge.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I honestly, no, I don't know if
I would hate that. I would hate it so much. I already dislike the term edge. I don't like it. I'm planting my flag. Can we go back to defensive ends? I like that. I like that a lot better than edge.
I do like.
I agree.
Shortening it DE
I'm
instead
not
of
sure.
DE is nice too.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I do kind of think because a loud but minority part of this fan base has turned against Brad, I think he might show a little more humility during the draft this year and maybe not do it.
Like the pounding the table stuff?
No, with the wearing the matching shirts stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You think he just might be a quarter zip guy?
Yeah. Like, I feel like he's always wearing what looks to be like a rain jacket.
Yeah.
That just made a weird noise. Did you hear? Okay, you heard that.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know that you have livestock in your house too, Jeremy?
That was a Zazu yawn / whine at the same time. I think that. All right, I'm not done with alerts. So let me get to the rest of these. Zern Baby Zern, they go to 56 months on Twitch. Not that obvious. 32 months. Mr. Broker, 48 months. Captain James Kirk, 10-bit, says he references how effective it was to have POD foot the bill for half of Petzing's salary, referencing ways that he control us. K Fletch, 31 months, says, hey, I'm catching a live one for once, and it's my Rashean Mathis, R.W. McCorders, Tease Tabor, Philip Buchanan, and Kirby Joseph anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
Well done.
There's a lot of conjuring of spirits in that one.
There was I will say, like, Kirby Joseph posted some kind of positive sounding things on Instagram this in the past 24 hours. I almost did a post on it, but then I'm like, he could be talking about anything. But I did screenshot him. So I'm just going to read. He says, ooh, I miss you so much. And it's just a picture of himself in football gear. It says, ooh, I miss you so much. I love you, stink. Daddy gonna be back soon, and I'm gonna put BTA.
BTA. Good Lord.
It drives me crazy just seeing you. I'm missing you bad. I love you so much. I'll steal you over and over again. It's hard to read it backwards. Every time I get a chance to. I'm collecting hats, so the next time when you see me lace up, it ain't none personal.
I saw some of the other things that he posted.
What were the other things?
I was gonna say these posts make it sound like Kirby's down bad. Like if this was your friend that was tweeting, like that was posting these things, you'd have to like text him like, hey, what's?
This was on Wednesday. I missed you on the field.
I don't know. I think he's very funny. I love Happy Kirby Joseph on the internet. He's very.
Will
good.
you be back this season?
I
don't know how to take that. Like,
that one doesn't seem as good.
That one seems like, yes, you're going to be going headfirst into people like you normally do.
I think that's more of like, please stop asking me this question. I'm going to throw myself through a roof. Or
A window.
Window.
Yeah.
CC, thank you for the follow on Twitch. I'm Sam, 10 months subscribed on Twitch, says shave your head, you cowards. No. 1/3 of us will.
I was gonna say I probably have to shave tomorrow, maybe. Probably not. QB Obi Sandwich Maker, 13 months, says 13 non-consecutive months because I'm awful. Hey, you're not awful.
No.
13 months is 13 months. I don't care what order they come in or how often they come in. 13 months is 13 months of support, and that's very much appreciated. 61 months subscribed for Alien Vivitor, says 61. Ryan eats less than 61 McNuggets.
We have planning to do, but like it's a long summer ahead. So I feel like let's figure out a date after the draft.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that makes sense.
Okay. Fair. Thomas J. Hutchins, 37 months subscribed on Twitch. Duckline, also 37 months subscribed on Twitch. Justin Roth, thank you for subscribing over on YouTube. Blitzing Line, a $2 super chat, says, Jeremy, what if they trade back and get a third and TJ Pa? What?
TJ Parker?
TJ Parker. I mean...
Wait, they trade back and they
that's
take
Nets,
TJ
right?
Parker?
Clemson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm in. Yeah.
Wait, where are they picking TJ Parker at?
I don't know. Trading back from 32. I'm sorry, trading back from 17. We got him at like 26 and got a third out of it. You not happy about that?
TJ Parker. I don't like him as a prospect.
Why?
I just don't think he's very. I don't think the tape that I've seen, like, it just wasn't very good.
All right.
I was not very impressed. And this was back. I mean, obviously, this was back when people were talking about him possibly going at 17, and I was like, absolutely not.
All right. That's fair. But oh man, alerts are coming in. Appreciate y'all. I gotta scroll back now. AP Durag, 25 months. Says, 24 in a row, 25 total. Says 24. Shout out to Imani Oruarie. Happy 2 years, y'all. To many more. Hey, appreciate you, AP Durag. Thanks for coming out and supporting us for 2 straight years. Subron, 12 months subscribed. Says, I despise Twitch, but I drop in here monthly to use my Prime subscription. Have a great day, fellas, and thanks for the content. Hey, sorry that you hate Twitch, but thanks for dropping by. Not sure what Twitch did to you, but it's not for everybody. Any other way, we appreciate the support.
Always.
Captain James Kurt, 25-bit, says, concerning how much I love Holly Campbell's post, I'm so glad that this Vrabel Rossini thing isn't happening to us.
I keep trying to talk about it in Slack and nobody bites. So.
I'm assuming I haven't really looked into the story at all. From what I understand, it's just the photos and there have been like 0 development since.
She's on leave right now from The Athletic while they do an investigation.
I'm in the dark about the entire thing.
And Mike Vrabel is not speaking at their pre-draft.
Okay. That's the one thing that I do know something about, and there was a Patriots reporter who was like, yeah, that was announced a month ago. That is not something that was like a reaction
brought on by
to
the
this
Rossini
news.
thing.
Yeah.
All I know is that, I mean, obviously the internet has done a deep dive on the things that Diana Rossini says, like on a mic when she's in front of a microphone that seem outrageous. When provided with this context, right?
Yeah.
Like outside of that context, nobody bat an eye. But with those pictures where they're interlocking fingers, there was a challenge on Twitter where it was like, send that to your significant other and say, like, if you saw pictures of me doing this with somebody else, what would you do? I sent it to my wife and she said, LOL, I'm not telling you, so you remain afraid.
That's an incredible answer.
And it's like, I don't know how you can misconstrue those pictures for being anything other than like
emotional.
That's not how you hang out with a friend.
Right.
Like interlocking fingers in a Arizona bungalow. Like, and like the whole story is that they claim that they were there with friends, but like none of these friends were ever like seen there, and like none of their friends have like spoken up to be like, oh no, I was there with my buddy Mike. Like, and I don't know if like those people have a platform to do that, but like, just really strange. People connecting the dots on like AJ Brown to the Patriots rumors and Diana Rossini being at the forefront of all that stuff. that's a lot of dot connecting, but like you see the pictures and you're like, that's just strange behavior from two married people.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have
I
a
wouldn't
take
touch
on this.
another
Like, I
woman's
know
shoulder.
there's a
I don't-
conversation.
let alone lock fingers.
Are you talking about the journalistic integrity thing is the story, right?
Yeah. And
Or like, is that the thing that you would like?
I guess I don't feel like I have a good perspective on that because this is so weird and outrageous. And I'm not honestly that familiar with Diana Rusidi's work. I know she's like kind of second tier national newsbreaker type, right?
But she's really worked her way up though. Like
yeah.
I learned a lot. Like she was a beat writer
Right.
in Washington.
See, I don't even know any of that.
All the way up to like senior NFL insider.
All I know is like there's enough shit that women have to do and deal with to get to where they are professionally, and shit like this could set them back as a gender. Like I don't
Unfairly,
even think about
yeah.
that. Yes.
Unfairly, yeah. Yeah.
And who knows what the dumb stereotype that people throw out all the time is true in this instance or not, but like there are people saying that out there now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. That's kind of why I don't want to talk about this subject, because it's a lot. It's ugly. I know on the surface it's funny and silly, and
I just like my thing. Like I don't know. Like why do this? Like, are you so unhappy like with your partner, but like you're too afraid to tell them? So like you'll go to these lengths. Like that was the one part. Like I somehow I ran into Dave Portnoy talking about it on the internet.
oh boy.
On his show.
I literally I just scrolled past a video and I was
Did
like,
you?
why is Dave Portnoy like?
Why
why
is
is he
Dave
talking about
Portnoy of
this?
all people weighing in on this conversation, right? But it's just like, because I've just seen people be like, well, it was an invasion of privacy. Like they had no right to like take those pictures. I'm like, they have no right to be acting that way. They're both married.
You also like
so there's
I was
collateral.
gonna say,
There's damage with this
Yeah.
though, right? Like the very real thing is like what Jeremy's talking about, but like they have kids. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
But it's like you are a public figure. This comes with it. Like, I don't know. Like Benjamin Albright weighed in on it, and he's like, "Look, I know I'm the guy who like, but like it's not right to like drag people like this in public." And it's like, well, if you're acting like that in public and you're married, maybe you kind of deserve to be dragged.
If you're gonna be if you're gonna be out in public with it, if you're gonna go to a Coldplay concert, like you don't get to be mad at other people. You also could have just been faithful to your spouse in public.
That's a good way to sign off on this. Just be faithful to your spouse.
Yeah.
The Pride of Detroit PODcast supports that.
Fidelity. Pass it on.
I don't think Fidelity pass it on as a
Wait.
Mike Vrabel. Certainly, it seemed like he tried to pass on Fidelity.
Anyways, Keith Schmidt, thank you for the $5 super chat over on YouTube. Says, thank you, Jeremy, for bringing up the physical development angle of older prospects. Feels like everyone overlooks that part for the contract talk. Yeah, it's all there. It's all, I mean, all of it matters. Captain James Kirk 25-bit says, Brad wearing the I'm a real journalism hoodie would be amazing, by the way. Throwback. God, I haven't even worn that in a while. Should pull that out.
I just got a tweet from Lions Blood 22.
Yeah?
How Brad will troll Jeremy coming soon to Allen Park. The Reisman recording studio.
It's the Reisman recording room. Triple R.
So now you got bumped down to a studio.
But that's how you know he's trolling you, because he knows you call it a room and you get fired up about it, so he calls it a studio. Layers to the porta potty joke.
Yeah, it's rude. All right, we are caught up on alerts, I believe. We did it. Okay, so real quick, I went to St. Louis this weekend with some buddies.
The Arch.
The Arch.
Did you see it?
I did. Drove by. I didn't go into it or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But went by it. Went to I said a Flyers game. No, I went to a Blues game. I went to a Cardinals game.
Ooh.
And we did a bunch of disc golf, which me and my buddies typically do on things, on travels. What do you call them? Trips? Yeah, that's the word. Anyways.
Jeremy doesn't know the name of a vacation. This is not going well for his reputation when it comes to taking vacation.
Travels is
What do you call it?
I'm also very sleep deprived still.
Sounds like you guys jumped in a wagon. It's like, yes, on our travels.
On our Odyssey.
My friend contracted dysentery.
So while we're playing disc golf, my disc goes into like a little bit of like shrubbery. There's just a little shrub, and I reach in there, immediately pull my hand out because like I got stung or hit a thorn real hard or something, and like the impact point is like tiny. Like I can almost barely not see it, but it hurts like hell. 5 minutes later, my hand was swollen like a balloon. Like I would do this and you would not be able to see these last two knuckles. It was like puffed up like crazy.
Dude, what happened?
I still have no idea. To this day, I have no idea.
It just went away?
Didn't
you learn from the bee situation?
Yeah.
From the wasp situation?
What am I supposed to do, Miko? Just not go outdoors?
No, not put your hands in shrubbery. The hell?
It was when I say shrubbery, it's just like
very unassuming.
Yeah, it was not like a bush. I wasn't like reaching in a bush. It was just like tall, like not even tall plants, like this tall.
You could swing into it?
Yeah, I saw the disc.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. But you don't know what it was?
Still.
I don't know if it was. I still don't know if it was actually an insect or a thorn.
Did you
I
take
never
like
saw a
Benadryl
stinger
afterward or no?
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay.
Honestly, this
helped?
is the first day in which I can see the knuckles, and this happened Saturday. No, it happened Friday.
Your hand was like that all weekend on vacation?
Yes.
No wonder you don't like going on vacations.
I guess not. And the weird thing, so like I got stung here. Right here. And it swelled up here. So like went from this side in here all the way to the outside here. And like this is where it started to hurt. After like this doesn't hurt at all now. It's still like a little bit tender here, but not too bad. And I'm still so puzzled by the entire thing because the whole time I'm like, do I need to go to the hospital? And then everyone's like,
is this like an urgent care thing?
Everyone was like, on the internet, all my friends, the medical people I know in my life, they're all like, listen, if it's just your hand, you're fine. If it starts going elsewhere, if you're like losing feeling in your face, like that's when like it's a venom situation and you need to get help now.
I think you need to just like when nature takes your frisbee, just let it have it.
Miko, I can't be scared of nature. I can't live life like that.
All right.
He's telling you to buy more discs.
Keep that or that. But you know what? It's fine. Keep messing around with nature. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad. Well, first things first, I'm glad you still have a hand.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
That's good.
That's all I was looking for.
Okay. All right. Well, you have to tell the whole story.
I didn't take a picture of the shrub or anything like that because like at first when it happened, I was just like, oh, I must have just hit a thorn or got stung by a bee or something. It doesn't seem like it's a big deal. And then like by the time I'm realizing it's swelled up, we're already like 4 holes after that. I'm like, I'm not going back.
Well, no. The hell? I'd have went home. Disc golf is over. Like St. Louis is done.
Bye, guys.
The hell? I came out here to play a casual game of disc golf, and all of a sudden I have
I played fine. And honestly, the next day I played my best round of the entire weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeremy, just know if you end up in the hospital over some disc golf shrubbery, I'm showing up to the hospital just to say I told you so.
Do it. listen, Miko, I got stung by like 10 wasps last year, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. I was on the podcast when
Yeah.
you told that story.
And I'm still here. The point isn't that happened, it's that I'm still here. And now I'm
The point is that it's getting more and more dangerous for you. Like
No.
it's wasp one time. Now you have an appendage that's getting swollen.
don't
This is a
don't
good
say the
idea.
word don't say the word appendage like that.
Like how?
Don't put your hand in shrubbery.
All right. Sports
Hand,
Turf
not
Pro,
appendages. I'm not putting my appendages in shrubbery. Let's be clear.
Sports Turf Pro suggests Jeremy needs one of the old lady grabber sticks with the claw on the end. Maybe you need to put that in your disc golf bag. The retractable ones.
They literally have those for like if you throw in a creek or something.
Pond or something, yeah.
Yeah. And I need one, to be clear. So if someone wants to get me a disc retriever, Captain James
P.O.
Kirk already
box.
threw the exclamation point mail in the chat. P.O. box is right over there. You can see it.
Anything to save Jeremy's hands, because apparently, like, I feel like one of these times you're gonna come back from one of your, excursions and being like, so I lost a couple fingers, but I played the best game of disc golf right after that.
Rebuilding since 1957 says, okay, go back to some more Rod Wood talk over Jeremy disc golf injury story.
Listen. I think we need a theme song to Jeremy getting injured story time, since it apparently happens so often.
I just don't understand how you get this hurt playing one of the most suburban activities.
Non-contact.
Yeah. Listen, I broke my wrist playing hockey. Okay. It happens. It happens
oh,
in
you're
the
not-
in the
you're not
more.
When was the last time you
physical-
played hockey?
You're not a sissy boy. This kind of proves you're not a sissy boy, because I'm with Miko. If my hand is puffing up and I can't see anything, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to urgent care.
Yeah, no, I played through it, and I beat everybody the next day. I won a bottle of St. Louis barbecue sauce because of it.
Well, that I was hoping we would eventually get here, because I just wanted to get to the part where we talked about like what good food you ate when you were in St. Louis. So
Some pretty good food. I wasn't blown away. We went to a really nice Italian restaurant that was very good. We went to a barbecue spot that I just kind of thought was okay, but everyone else really liked. And then, what else did we eat? We went to a breakfast joint that was really interesting because they were, gosh, I can't remember what exact cuisine it was, but we ordered something called a smorgasbord, which for $25 each was just a pile of food, like literally a pile of food. Let me pull out a picture of it.
kind of sounds like you were pigs at a trough. They just served you a bunch of slop on a
Yeah.
plate for $25.
They did. So this was one of the plates. So there's watermelon, ham, cheeses,
hell is that
donuts, toast, cucumbers, egg salad, potatoes. Whoop.
You know what they say? Meats and cheeses always pleases.
And then also this, which I don't even like.
Are those mushrooms?
They're meatballs with mushrooms on them.
Oh.
There's like an
Okay.
egg
Okay.
cheese dish, and then the other one is rice. I don't know why it's out of focus, but it was
You took- yeah.
very interesting and very delicious. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see, but that's also my fist.
It looks like a nub. It looks like you just have
Like a
It
nub.
does.
chopped up an appendage.
I was about to ask you which appendage that was of yours.
Yeah, if this stream gets struck, like we now know why.
I think it was Lions Blood 20 in the chat too said Rod Wood's appendage, and I'm like, I think it's just time to get to the third segment after that. So
That's what bit Jeremy. It was Rod Wood.
it was Rod Wood
He was
just in the shrubs.
Just hiding in there. I don't remember what the name
Talk
of the
about
Italian
me
was.
on your little podcast.
He's the one who left the 1-star review. Said that you changed too.
That you've changed.
Yeah. Rod Wood, He's like, Jeremy always used to ride for me. This last podcast, he really let it go.
Oh, the Italian place was Dominic's, JC. Dominic, it was like Dominic's on the Hill or something. Something like that.
Oh man.
All right. We're caught up. I'm done telling that story. Yeah, you want to jump right back in?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast. In the second segment here, we are going to be taking the focus back over to a couple different draft prospects that the Lions could be keeping their eye on if they decide to maybe either not go offensive tackle or edge, or just some additional positions that they just may have in mind at the top of this draft. When Brad Holmes talked about the fact that, hey, like they have DJ Wonnum, they have Larry Borom, he seemed to have a good amount of confidence, Jeremy, that like those guys could step in. So I guess we kind of have to broaden our horizons a little bit and look at this from this perspective. If the Lions don't go tackle or edge, let's say in the first 2 rounds, where could you possibly see them going?
Well, I mean, I think you have to start with like positions, right? Positions that are relative short and long-term needs, because I think you can probably take running back off the board early. You can probably take wide receiver off the board, quarterback off the board. I would think maybe defensive tackle, but maybe not defensive tackle. I just think they've put a lot of investment into that position already. But that's kind of it. Like they could go tight end relatively early. They could go interior offensive line early. They could go edge. We're not counting edge, but they could go linebacker. They could go corner. They could go safety. I think all of those are probably on the board, right? Do any of you disagree with that? Do you think any of those positions are like completely off the board on day 1 or day 2?
No, not really. And I think that's what makes this kind of tough. Like, Brian, when Brad's saying like, hey, they don't have to go tackle an edge, and it's like, I guess you don't have to, but like that's kind of where this team needs the most help, and it feels like they would be getting greedy going anywhere else.
It does, but I think it kind of makes me think back to the first segment where I was talking about like the needs, the wants, and the luxuries. It feels like they have some spots that are wants. I think cornerback might be a want. Right. It might not necessarily be a luxury, because you might need a nickel cornerback. You might need another option as far as an outside corner goes, because Brett Whitefield, like he pointed out, that the Lions could get out of DJ Reed after this season.
Yeah.
If they wanted to, maybe they make their decision on Terry and Arnold at this point. Maybe they've made a decision on Ennis Rakestraw where he fits. But like, I think that there are some positions where they could want. And I think in the first 2 rounds, they're guys who meet the criteria, because I think that's important that we establish too. Again, pick 17 and pick 50, or if they move around some which way, shape, or form, like those players on day 1 and day 2 are going to be contributors on offense and defense. They're not just going to be 2024. We drafted Terry and Arnold, but hey, we're going to draft Ennis Rakestraw too, because we have a big need at corner, and we'll just take all the competition we can get. So like these guys are guys that I would expect the Lions expect to play in week 1.
Yeah. So Jeremy, how about you lead us off with an option? Let's start with the first round. If the Lions don't go tackle or edge, who's a player or players that you could see them probably prioritize in the first round? Yeah.
The kind of ongoing theme with my picks in this segment was defensive playmakers. Because if I could steal kind of how they talked about Jahmyr Gibbs, like he's not a running back, he's an offensive weapon. The Lions don't necessarily need a specific piece or position on defense. They need playmakers. They need guys that can go out there and make plays. Yes, corner, I think I'm going to talk about a corner here. Because again, like Ryan said, very much should be considered a long-term need, because just to clarify what Ryan was saying, DJ Reed has a $13.6 million option bonus next year. You don't do that, then he's only going to cost you. I mean, only you're still going to incur $9 million in dead cap, but if you do exercise that option, you have a $17 million dead cap in 2028, regardless of whether you keep him or not. Like, that is a huge investment waiting for him, and this is very much a make or break year for DJ Reed, who is turning 30. Right, he's unlikely to get another massive contract either way, and then obviously Terrion Arnold can go in a multitude of directions after this season. So my guy is Jermon McCoy, and fully acknowledging that there's a good possibility he's not even there. In this scenario, like that I'm playing through my head, it's like, okay, they're not going offensive tackle and they're not going edge because there's been a run on offensive tackle and edge, which might mean someone like McCoy would fall to Detroit there at 17. Now, the Lions have always needed a little bit more size, I think, at the corner position. Not saying this is why they moved on from Amik, but like one of the tough parts about Amik, the stuff that he couldn't physically overcome was those 50-50 balls. As much as like he's gritty, he's physical, he's a good press corner, like you can throw it over his head and the guy can just moss him. So McCoy, 6'1", 188, so like could use a little more meat on the frame there, but very physical corner. Our own Eric Schlick compares him to Darius Slay. And honestly, like, there's just so many things I like about him. He's definitely like willing and active when it comes to the run game. His coverage grade was an 89.6 in 2024. His last year that he played, because he missed all of last year with an ACL. That was 8th best in the country. Passer rating allowed was 53.6. Super athletic. So you're getting the tall thing, the tall range plus the speed. So this isn't like a Tease Tabor situation. He ran a 4.4, 9.67 RAS and played heavily in man at Tennessee. So to me, he has all the physical traits that the Lions have wanted in a physical corner, but finally brings some of the size that I think they've been missing. And just like ball skills too, right? 6 interceptions in his 2 years in college, including 4 his last year he played. So to me, man, I think this is in a lot of ways a missing piece that this franchise, I feel like, hasn't had in quite some time. And again, playmaker. Defensive playmaker. Get me a defensive playmaker that can get your team the ball, get the ball to the offense, where this team has spent the majority of their resources over the past few years.
Yeah, I definitely could see them go with a player in the secondary, Ryan. I think it's a position that, like you said, there's a lot of question marks, and they've added a lot of talent there, so it already feels like it's fairly crowded. But if you do have some questions about the long-term future of that room, yeah, there's always that possibility that one of the top corners in this draft class could be high on your board. I think like the thing that would have a lot of people scratching their head is like, okay, well, if you draft a guy at 17, what does that say? Probably more so for Terrion Arnold than it does DJ Reed, right?
I think so. I think it just questions a lot of what you have in the room right now, in the sense of, well, there's Ennis too, and you re-signed Rocky Scene. You have some veterans in that room as well. So where do you see this long term? But I think, I think Terrion, it probably speaks maybe the most to, but it also says like, this is probably this might be either to Jeremy's point, probably a make or break year for DJ Reed, for all intents and purposes. So I could see a cornerback in day one, but probably like if they move, you know what I mean? Like if they move back, I could see them maybe going corner. I think at 17, it feels like, to our exercise that we did a week ago, it feels very much like there's going to be an offensive lineman there. It feels very much like there's going to be at least an offensive lineman or an edge player that could make a difference for this team and be a day one starter versus drafting a cornerback at 17. Like, you think that guy's going to start day one? Well, then that means like Terrion Arnold isn't on the roster, or, you know what I mean? Or DJ Reed isn't on the roster, almost, so to speak, right? Like,
well, I think that's where we would find ourselves probably back in 2023, right? When they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs and we were like, so what does this mean for DeAndre Swift? And it was like, the next day it's like, oh, DeAndre Swift was traded. Okay, got it.
yeah, right. Yeah. But I could see cornerback. I just think more so maybe if they move back.
Yeah.
Where it seems like there's a lot of value there at the end of the first round with a lot of cornerbacks who would be good ads.
But if McCoy is there, do you think that's bad value in terms of him as a prospect?
Miko, do you feel any sort of way about that?
Probably as a prospect, no, right? And I think this is where, as a fan, like this is where it would be tough to
Yeah.
balance the thing that Brad's always talking about when he's like, "Hey, if we love a guy, we're gonna take the guy we love over the quote unquote positional need that people may think that we have." Like, I think he had a really good explanation of that today. Probably like the
Yep.
best way he's ever explained it in terms of like having buyer's remorse, where like you didn't really like a guy for X, Y, and Z reason. You took him anyway because he fit a need, and then he starts to show the very like things that you didn't like about him as a prospect. So like in that regard, it's hard to like dislike the potential, the possibility of a pick like a Jermon McCoy, but it's so hard to ignore the talent that you see at tackle, where you're just like, you can't tell me you hate all these guys. You can't tell me that you like the corner that much more than the tackle. I think that would be the hard pill to swallow in that situation.
I don't know if, as a real quick aside, I saw Rich Eisen talking to Dane Brugler about this draft and it being characterized as being a quote unquote light draft. And Eisen asked Brugler like what that meant. Does it mean like it's light at the top, like there's only so many generational prospects, or does it mean like in general this draft is light? And Brugler just characterized it as it has players in it that play the non-premium positions. Like it has Sonny Styles. He's an awesome off-the-ball linebacker. You could put the green dot on him for the Dallas Cowboys, he said, for example, and you wouldn't think twice about it. He actually even said that maybe the Cowboys would be interested in moving up to get Sonny Styles. But it has like him, Caleb Downs, who plays safety. It has these players who are like big-time generational maybe prospects at non-premium positions, but the Lions, they need an offensive tackle and they need an edge player. Those are premium positions. And it doesn't seem like they have premium blue chip prospects at those positions. So like taking a cornerback in Jeremy's point, maybe, and to your point too, Miko, Brad Holmes says, well, like this is just our guy. He's our best guy on our board. So we're just going to take him.
And I think Jeremy, that's probably the part that I struggle with the most is like, whether the Lions have admitted it or not, we've had a good idea of like who their guys were specifically at that position. And like, does McCoy stack up well, in your opinion, to like a Devin Witherspoon? Does he stack, like, how does he compare to Terrion as a prospect? Like, because like that's the thing that would be like, you would have to be like that caliber of a player for me to be like actually okay with taking you at 17 over other positions of need. And again, not saying that McCoy isn't or is, but it's just like, to be kind of honest, like I don't think I've heard a ton of buzz about the secondary players outside of like Downs and Thineman and things like that. Like some of the safeties in this class, probably more so than the corners in this class.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't like comparing to other draft classes because you only have this draft class. You can't draft a Devin Witherspoon if he's not in this draft class, right? And I mean, I don't know. To me, there's a lot of meh prospects from like 12 to 20, 12 to 30, 12 to 40. They're guys with warts everywhere. And if they view McCoy as in that top tier, we know that Brad Holmes generally has a limited amount of first-round talent. And so if McCoy is the last one available, I don't think he should blink, and I think he should take him. Like, if he thinks he is that tier above it, I do view corner as a long-term need. I do think when you're drafting, you should draft more so for long-term need than short-term need. And in a lot of ways, everything is a long-term need. So I honestly, I said this last week and I'll say it again, like I actually believe in this strategy of best player available. I think it's the correct strategy for this team because the other aspect of this too is if you're relying on a rookie to play right tackle or left tackle or all three downs for you at the edge at 17, you're probably going to be relying on a guy that's not very good for the first 2 months of the season. Just kind of okay for the first 2 months of the season. I don't know if there's a plug and play guy that you can expect above average play of his first 2 months of NFL football. That's going to be there in the middle of the first round.
Unless he's as old as Akeem. Right, Nico?
Yeah, I mean, then you could probably put those expectations on him. I mean, I don't know. I like I said, I don't disagree. And I like, I know it would be a tough pill. Like I said earlier, it would be a tough pill for fans to swallow if they decided to go in this direction over the two positions that we're talking about. But that's the point of this exercise and the point of this segment anyway, is to talk about that direction that they would go in. And that's why, like, for me, probably the least resistance like direction that they could go in, but I probably still wouldn't have people like super happy, but like not as angry probably as if they went in your direction, is if they went with Vega Ioane out of the guard out of Penn State. Like if they went in that direction, I think you're still getting kind of what you're talking about, where you're getting possibly like a long-term starter,
Sure.
and you're getting arguably, or at least I don't even want to say arguably, like unanimously, like the best guard in the draft class. Granted, you're taking him at 17, maybe a little bit higher than what you would traditionally take a guard, but at least especially if you're planning on moving like Panay over to the left side, either way, you got Panay Sewell at your left tackle, and you got a really good left guard prospect to play next to him. That side of the line might be like pretty much set, when you talk about a much improved running game. Again, great size when you talk about 6'4", 320. Just again, really like top tier performer, very athletic. Someone that I just like, Ryan, I wouldn't be super excited about, but it would be hard to have an argument about why I'd be mad about it, other than like, well, he's not a tackle. Like that would probably be the only real thing I could say about it.
That seems to be the argument for why you don't take him, right? Is because of the position he plays. But like we've been talking about with a lot of these tackle prospects, is they may end up playing guard. So if you want to draft the cleanest guard prospect in the draft, it's Ioane.
Yeah.
I think that's right then and there, right, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Would you be upset with this pick? I know we're ignoring all the context, right? But like in a vacuum, Ioane's the pick at 17.
Right.
No, I'm cool with it.
I'm not like jumping for joy, but this is a first round talent on the offensive line. The Lions' offensive line was not good last year. Therefore, I'm happy. Like that it can be as simple as that. And like, yes, you can play the positional value game if you want and say, hey, you can get starting guards in the third round, or in the Lions' case, Christian Mahogany and Miles Frazier in day 3. But those guys have questions. Venga doesn't have a lot of questions. I trust a guy like Brandon Thorne a lot. He said there are 3 first-round talents on the offensive line, period. That's it. 3 first-round talents. Maui Noah, Spencer Fano, and Venga Ioane. Those 3. That's it. And if you're getting a round 1 bucket guy on, maybe not a direct position of need, but on a position that you value as a team very highly, this team wants to run the football. Venga Ioane is going to help them run the football. I am not going to be mad at that. Yes, I want them to add defensive talent. Yes, I want them to add defensive playmakers. But again, it boils down to first-round talent or not first-round talent. Go and get yourself a first-round talent. And if he's on the offensive line, that's fine too, because the Lions could use that. And I know we were talking in the break about like the kind of bloodbath they have brewing at left guard, because they've added so much to that position in the past few years and in free agency this year. But I am never going to say, hey, you have too many offensive line on this team. You will never hear me say those words.
Well, also, like, as much as we can point to, like, hey, Christian Mahogany was your starter last year, there's a lot of questions about what type of player you got in Miles Frazier. You liked Miles Frazier last year. He obviously has the versatility to kick inside. Like, but there is a question mark at starting left guard. As much as there's a question mark as tackle, like, there's equally a question mark at guard. And I think Ioane, from not just, like, a player standpoint, like, I think that's what Brad would – like, I could easily see Brad standing up at the podium being like, yeah, he was the best graded prospect we had on our board at the time.
And like, he's not lying. He's not fibbing.
Yeah. And so like you take that into account from a player perspective as far as like who he is on the field, but like from a character perspective, like this is a guy that you also know like is going to score really highly on the Lions board. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Like I said, it may not necessarily be the pick that gets people excited. It's going to be the pick that we're going to have to come on here and talk people into over the course of the offseason of like, hey, why this is a good thing and why you're just going to have to trust that Larry Borom is a solid right tackle. But it would, to Jeremy's point, I think definitely improve the offensive line in a pretty significant way, especially the middle of that offensive line.
Yeah. And listen, I think this is why this is a good topic for the podcast, is like, fans are going to have to get used to this, because the chances that they go offensive tackle and edge in their first 2 picks, I think are pretty low. And that's not like any inside sources or anything. It's just like, I do believe Brad Holmes generally when he says, we're going to take the best guy on the board. we're going to take guys that are first round talents. I think if they can match that with need, they're going to do that over, let's say they're 2 first round bucket guys and one's an offensive tackle and one's a corner. I think they'll probably get the offensive tackle because it's a bigger need. But if that offensive tackle's on the board, if that offensive tackle big board of theirs is devoid of first round talent and their first round talents elsewhere, this team is going to pull that trigger. And this is how they've operated from the beginning. And so if you have a problem with that, you have a problem with how this team was built from the beginning. And I understand every year is different and your roster is different, your financial situation is different, and therefore your strategy needs to evolve in one way or another. But again, this is a strategy that I actually think stands the test of time no matter where your team is at in their roster building process.
Yeah. Ryan, you got a first round guy that you could see the Lions taking that's outside of the top 2 needs that they have?
All right, this one requires a little bit of imagination. Okay, no, it's a great way to preface it.
Fernando Mendoza.
Ty Simpson. Look, I listened to Dan Orlovsky. What if the Lions trade Sam Laporta? What if the Lions trade Sam Laporta? One very, very interesting thing, and this is like completely coincidental, but the Lions own 2 fourth-round picks 118 and 128. Do you know that the Lions packaged 4th-round pick 119 and 4th-round pick 129 with TJ Hawkinson when they traded TJ Hawkinson? What if Sam Laporta? What if Sam Laporta is part of a trade that gets the Lions some extra picks and they draft Kenyon Sadiq? What if they draft a tight end? What if they move on from Laporta, they get more draft picks, and they end up using a pick on a tight end? Now, the only thing I'll say about this is that this is not a team that needs another weapon, especially if you remove Sam Laporta from the equation. I think that they have more than enough when it comes to Amon-Ra, when it comes to J-Mo, Gibbs. They have plenty. They traded up for Isaac Tisslaw, for crying out loud, right? Like they have plenty of weapons. But the thing about Sadiq is he's a complete tight end. He's a guy who is an inline player. He is a guy who can block. He is a guy who is a incredible athlete too, though. Like the the RAS comparison between Sadiq and Laporta is kind of scary because they're like that 6'3", 240. I mean, Sadiq's 241, Laporta's 245. But like just as an athlete, I mean, a 43.5-inch vertical, an 11-foot broad jump. Like he's such an athlete, but also a blocking tight end that I think that I could see it be justifiable if the Lions are able to maneuver a draft board, get some picks. Like I think I've talked myself into it. I know I haven't talked anybody else into it, but it's an interesting thing to be like, maybe we don't have to reward our own guy. There is somebody who has to be maybe the odd man out in this 2023 class. We view Brian Branch as being more important. We view Jahmyr Gibbs as being more important. We view Jack Campbell as being more important. That one guy is Sam Laporta, and they just move on from him.
What does the return have to be in your mind, Ryan, for like that to make sense? Because like you're talking about giving up, when healthy, like a top 3 tight end in the NFL, maybe top 5.
I do. I love Sam Laporta.
And 2 4th-round picks. Like, what's the return got to be like?
I mean, what if it's something similar to what they got for TJ Hawkinson, where it's a 2nd and a 3rd-round pick, or what if it's a couple of 2nd-round picks? Even if it's not immediate draft capital this season, what if it is a 2nd-round pick this year and a 2nd-round pick next year? Like that's valuable draft capital that, again, if you want to keep this thing sustained and you want to keep it floating, Jeremy's all about adding picks. I know I'm at least getting there a little bit with him, but it's the offensive line piece, right? And what Dan Campbell said about how important it was to have Sam Laporta and to have Brock Wright, like missing those guys, what happened to our run game, right? But I just view Sadiq as being a guy who he's not some wide receiver moonlighting as a tight end.
Right. I think it's an option that deserves discussion because I know there are going to be a bunch of people who are listening, a bunch of people that are watching live or watching on replay that says, you guys are idiots. They're never going to trade Sam Laporta. And I agree. Not that we're idiots, that they're probably not going to trade Sam Laporta. Sometimes we're idiots. But the Lions are in a tough financial position. They have to make unpopular decisions. They have to make tough financial decisions. They've already made a fair share of tough financial decisions. And we've been talking about that 2023 draft class for years now about who's the odd man out. We literally talked about that during the break too. Like, who's going to be the odd man out? And I don't think there is going to be an odd man out. I think the way that they've been drafting, developing, re-signing, they're kind of almost obsessed with the idea that, like, if we drafted them and they're really, really good, why would we trade them? And I get that argument on a certain level, but at some point, that group of core players that you're paying top tier at their position is too big. Like, there's too many guys that you're paying ginormous contracts to that you can't fill out the rest of your roster with good players. You're seeing what it's already doing. Everyone's mad about how they operated in free agency. Well, if you add 4 more expensive contracts on top of that, then you're just going to continue to sign 1 year, $1.7 million deals to everyone in free agency because that's all you can afford. Now, is this the best way to go about it? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, obviously, trading Sam Laporta is going to be tough because he's got a back injury, and who's going to want that, and is that going to hurt his value? Like, all those things are valid in this specific conversation. But it's a really interesting kind of thought experiment, right? Because he is such a well-rounded tight end. I think he's obviously, when he first takes the field in the NFL, he's going to be significantly behind where you have Laporta right now. But I think his ceiling is certainly around, maybe even above what Sam Laporta's ceiling is. And if you can get that at a cheap deal instead of spending on him, then on top of that, get 2 more cheap deals on day 1 or day 2 picks, suddenly you see why that makes sense. Suddenly you see why you see a way that the Lions can dig themselves a little bit out of this financial hole, where they can continue to add young, high talent on rookie contracts instead of continuing to extend and build that core salary cap burden bigger and bigger.
I'm certainly not
and I think it's worth
advocating, Miko. I'm just, wouldn't that be interesting?
You're just
wouldn't
asking
that be
questions.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Well, honestly, I was going to say, like, I think that's the important thing to keep in context. Because, like you said, Jeremy, like, I do think there's going to be a certain number of people that are already currently doing this in our chat, or who are going to watch us on replay and be like, why the hell would you ever possibly trade a sure thing for a lottery ticket? Because, like, that's what draft picks are. Like, no matter how high you draft them, they're a lottery ticket. And Sam Laporta has been a proven commodity. But to Ryan's point, like, this is a much more interesting experiment than I think the trade that was proposed
The Ed
over on
Holmes trade
NFL.com
where they moved up in the first round.
Yeah, because I think in that situation, like, you're creating a void, and this one you're kind of swapping out models, right? You're getting just a newer version of a player that you kind of already have on your roster, but you're saving you're getting a huge savings on that.
Yeah, you're
said,
leasing a new car. You're leasing a new car. It's going to take a while for you to get used to the new controls, like the new cruise control system, your automatic parking. Like, it's not going to be exactly what it was before, but, like, the idea is that it's going to be eventually just as comfortable, if not better.
Dude,
Car
Laporta's
talk.
35-inch vertical. Kenyon Sadiq 43.5. You want to talk about a vertical threat in the red zone?
I was gonna say, you want to talk about a red zone threat? Like,
Yeah.
You're going to have to double either him
it
or
would be-
or
Tom Kennedy.
no, it's not Tom Kennedy. Mr. 3 third-round picks himself.
The guy
it's a
who
slog.
everybody wants to play tight end.
That's right.
Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe they trade Sam Laporta and they announce that Tesla's playing tight end.
Tight end.
He's put on 20 pounds of good weight in the offseason. He's ready.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so that's an interesting experiment that we just had for the first round.
That's fun.
Let's look at the second round, because I think, like, okay, some people could probably wrap their heads around some of the things that they did these things in the first round. Like, cool, you got an offensive guard instead of a tackle. Don't love it, but I can understand, like, really good player. You got the best guard in the class. You went for the freaky tight end. That's the best tight end. You got some draft picks with a trade and all of this stuff. Actually, maybe I kind of like this. you get a corner that's, again, you're shoring up the cornerback room and the corners of the future and kind of upgrading that room, awesome. What happens if they do it again though in the second round and they go in a completely different direction? That's where I think people could get very, very, very in their feelings. Jeremy, for you, what direction would that be that you'd be like, oh, okay, like this isn't probably on the roadmap for most people, but I could still see them go here.
And please be careful because the thunder is foreboding.
I was wondering if you guys picked that up because yeah, as soon as he mentioned that and then literally thunder outside my window here, I was like, oh man, that does feel foreboding. But no, I mean, listen, again, like I said, my theme here is defensive playmaker. We know that the Lions have not really added a starting level talent at the linebacker position, but they lost one. So I think and I actually think the value potentially on day 2 is pretty high at the linebacker position. Not a terribly bad linebacker class, as Ryan was saying. The non-traditional value positions happen to have, I think, pretty good depth, and linebacker is one. I know you're talking about one that's been a very popular pick, and I'm fully on board with your pick as well. But I went with Texas's Anthony Hill Jr. Good size speed combo. In fact, incredible size speed combo. 6'2", 238, ran a 4.51. I think he projects to be a pretty darn good coverage linebacker, assuming he kind of builds out some of those skills. Played a lot of coverage, did a decent job, has excellent ball skills in general. And I just think, I don't know, admittedly, this is a little bit of a size, speed, weight kind of pick because there's some development that I think needs to happen there, but he's been a green dot guy, so he understands scheme. I think some of the instinctual stuff isn't where it needs to be. But 30, like, to me, what's intriguing is again the playmaking ability. He had 31 and a half tackles for loss over 3 years. So he's knifing through the offensive line on run stops. He can actually rush the passer pretty darn well too. So like, if you wanted to play around with some Sam, like maybe there's a little bit of Sam potential there. I don't think he's necessarily physical enough. Not for lack of trying. I just think when I watch a little bit of his tape, the one thing I left wanting more of is just like pop. When he hits the defender, when he tries to engage an offensive lineman and bounce off him, there wasn't enough inertia. There wasn't enough force in his game. And maybe that means he needs to add a little bit to his frame because he's 6'2", whatever it is. But like the sideline to sideline speed is great. I think he's going to be a pretty good run defender of that. He knows how to dip a little bit to get under blocks. But he doesn't run enough through blocks for me to wonder if, like, I don't think he's going to knock the Lions' socks off necessarily, but that's not really Anzalone's game either. Like, that's not what they ask of him a lot either. So if they're looking for a more true one-to-one replacement to Anzalone, I think he has that developmental track, that ceiling where he could become a player like Anzalone.
Yeah, I like Anthony Hill a lot. For a lot of the things that you just listed off. I think the pass rushing stuff
it's intriguing, right?
Is intriguing because you look at his 2024, he had 23 pressures in 75 pass rush snaps. And PFF also credited him with 6 sacks.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe admittedly some of those might be coverage sacks and that might be a coverage snap or whatever, but like still, I mean, for a guy who isn't designed in Texas's scheme to like blitz to the quarterback and to rush the passer, getting that many pressures is really impressive. And like a younger guy too, right? Like, I mean, he's 21. So yeah, I like the idea, Miko, of a will guy in round 2, because that's a guy, again, I can see playing defensive snaps day 1 for Detroit potentially in some capacity.
Yeah, I like this pick a lot. Again, whether it's in a scenario where they don't go offensive tackle in the first round and they go linebacker, or even if they picked up a tackle in the first round and they decided to go linebacker over edge, like this is still a solid pick, because if you get a guy of this caliber with this type of athleticism, this type of aggressiveness in his play, you put that next to Jack, who is just continuing to blossom and grow as a player. Like, I think this could be a really nice tandem that the Lions could have for years to come. And I think as Jack's kind of growing as a blitzer, you have this other guy that's also really good at probably blitzing and getting to the quarterback. Like, that's that adds layers and complexities to your defense where you still have to kind of take account of everybody, right? It's not as simple as like, oh, Anthony Hill Jr. is in the game. That's the coverage guy. That's the guy that's always going to be dropping. Like, no, he has a very good track record of getting to the quarterback, being able to like cause havoc in the backfield, being able to get tackles for loss, being able to force turnovers. Like, it's enough things that could definitely elevate this defense as a whole outside of just a guy with their hand in the dirt that's rushing the passer every single down.
Yeah, you want to talk playmaking ability. His stat sheet is ridiculous. 3 years at Texas. Like I said, 31 and a half tackles for loss, 17 sacks over 3 years, 8 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions. Playmaker.
Yeah. It's funny, though, when Miko was describing that kind of player, it made me think about Fatu Melifonwu. You know what I mean? Like,
sure, yeah.
Just that, like, positionless kind of, you think this guy could do that, but the very next snap, he is doing the thing that you didn't think he was going to do.
Yeah. Tell me about your linebacker.
I'm changing my guy. I'm not going Jacob. I'm not going Jacob Rodriguez.
All right.
I'm not sure if he'll be there, but like, should we mention him at least?
Well, hey, if you want to learn more about Jacob Rodriguez, who I'm like fully on board with, go to PrideDetroit.com. We had a really good article by John Whitaker making the argument for drafting Jacob Rodriguez.
There you go. I want to hear about Miko's guy because that's my guy too. You guys both pick guys that I really like, so that's a good thing. This is good groupthink.
I'm glad that I found an opportunity to finally talk about Keontae Scott outside of talking to Brett. Because I think Brett, when I had Brett on the YouTube channel, that was the only other time I got to talk about Keontae Scott. And I love him as a prospect. It's the same. Listen, we'll get this out of the way. It's the same question mark or the same red flag as Akeem Messidor, right? It's a 25-year-old defensive back that you'll probably have the question mark of like, okay, well, what's taking so long for him to kind of develop? And it's really just like he had to go the JUCO route. And so he had to take a longer route to like kind of getting his college career up and running. But this dude plays corner, like the way that I think the Lions want their DBs to play. If you loved Amik Robertson, I think that's exactly what the type of player that you're getting in Keontae, except bigger. Like, you're talking about a guy that's 5'11", but is just heady in the run game, very aggressive in the pass coverage game. I remember watching him in the national championship game, and I was like, I don't know who the hell that player is, but like, that's a lion if I've ever seen a lion touch the football field. And so it's a guy that I think, like, again, if the Lions wanted to address tackle in the first round or even go with Ioane and they wanted to add to the secondary in the same way that Jeremy was talking about, like, hey, you need to kind of round out that room and add some like long-term players to that group. Keontae Scott just fits perfectly. Like I said, yes, you're going to have the question marks about the age stuff, but I think that's the other benefit to him is that he's not just a corner. Like, this is a true defensive back. This is a guy that you can moonlight at corner. You can moonlight him at nickel. You can like put him at safety. Like, hell, you can have him probably moonlight as linebacker in certain situations. Like, that's just the manner in which he plays the game. So I don't know about you, Ryan, but like, those are just some of the things that I love about him and why I think he'd be a perfect fit, regardless of what the Lions do in the first round, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, point blank, he's the number one slot run defender in the 2026 NFL draft. And it just screams like Brian Branch to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it screams super physical, maybe not the instincts or the coverage that Brian has, because that's pretty unique in his skill set. I think his instincts and I think his headiness is really good. Not to knock Keontae Scott's, but like, I think you're getting a guy that is day one sub package ready. That guy is going to be a nickel cornerback and he's going to be a competitor and he's going to make such a difference in the run game that this is such a Lions pick. But I think I like the fact that he is 25. I think that speaks to, or that he'll be 25. I think that speaks to him being ready again, right out of the box. But I mean, 20 pressures on 87 pass rush snaps. He had a handful of sacks. Like, those are just as good as, if not better than, the interceptions. And he had a couple of those and he had 4 pass breakups. So like, I think, again, we're circling playmakers. Lions need playmakers. They really missed Kirby Joseph last season. They really missed guys who made game-changing plays on defense to set a team behind the sticks or to get a team off. I mean, the Lions couldn't get off the field on third down. Just
Right.
put one of these guys out here who can make a play.
Keontae Scott, man, like all of the like things that I wish Anthony Hill was in terms of like popping guys and like just downhill killing
Bad
people.
intentions. Yeah.
That's Keontae Scott. That is what you're getting in him. And yeah, I think you're both right that like that guy can play anywhere. That guy can play nickel. He can play on the outside. I think most people are listing him as a safety at this point, but like an in the box safety because his run defense is stellar. I think let me look at Eric's big thing. 91.2 grade in run defense, which appears to be the best amongst this entire safety class. Eric compares him to Devin Witherspoon. So hey, if the Lions like Devin Witherspoon, Keontae Scott might still be there at 50. I tend to think people are sleeping on him, and just with the way that like big nickels have changed the game recently, and the Seahawks being the Super Bowl champions and kind of going that route, I think we're about to see a resurgence in valuing these players. I think people are going to realize the Brian Branches of the world shouldn't be slipping deep into the second round. And so if I had to like make my bold claim of the 2026 NFL draft, I would not be surprised if Keontae Scott made his way into the first round. I know that's super bold and not a lot of people are predicting it. And as someone who's not like fully well versed in this year's class, it's a little bit out of pocket for me to even say that. But just with the way I like him and the things that he can do that teams are now realizing are valuable, I think there's going to be a team that takes a shot on this guy because he is not someone that I would imagine anyone would bet against. Like, I think the floor of this player is amongst the highest among players that are being projected to be a day 2 guy.
Yeah, and I think in the same way that we're talking about like Anthony Hill, like being able to play next to Jack Campbell could also just like make things better for both of them. Having Keontae Scott when Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are eventually like healthy enough to be on the field, like the three of them, you talk about what the Lions had when they had Ifeatu Melifonwu, like you imagine I can just see more 3 safety looks. Or again, depending on how you feel about how BB's recovering from his injury, like does he play more nickel? Does he play more safety? You now have that versatility to what you've been saying, Ryan, to have playmakers on the field at very key positions that you value highly as a football team.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of the Lions defense getting better. Like big time. Oh, my guy, third guy, last guy.
Hit me.
Sure.
I'm in on the idea of a cornerback. Chris Johnson won't be there. He's a guy that I really like. I know that there's Brett's a big fan of him. I've heard a lot of people just kind of speak his good doings. He's ranked 35th on Todd McShay's board. He's kind of up there, I think, on some of the. Let me see here real quick. Sorry. I'm on cornerback, right?
You looking into the beast?
No, I was looking at Eric's board. Yeah, so he's 52nd Lance Zierlein, 42 DJ, 38 Brugler. So like that's a guy who I don't know if he'll get to 50, but like I want him to. Can I just talk about Chris Johnson? Because like
sure.
I think that he would be like a huge get. Like if the Lions don't go cornerback in the first round, I think Chris Johnson is a guy who just for this team too. Like I think he's a great fit for Detroit. I think you have a guy who might just go a little bit underdrafted because of his size. And maybe his size might be he's not big enough to play cornerback because he is 6 foot, 193 pounds. I just want to bet on that guy's playmaking. 2025, 8 pass deflections, 4 interceptions. The year before that, 5 pass deflections and an interception. And the things that the thing that I like the most that was kind of highlighted in Todd McShay's write-up is he's a top 5 corner. He's a top 50 player. He's one of the best group of 5 players in this year's draft. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a guy that I would like the Lions to pick in the second round. That sounds like a guy who, Miko keeps on talking about it a lot. Come in and compete. Terry and Arnold, you want your outside job? Play like you want it. You know, like any of these guys they brought in, Izzian, McCreary, like any of these guys, like I like the idea of breeding competition in the cornerback room until they get it figured out because, guys, they're still figuring it out. It feels like Groundhog Day. Year after year, off season after off season. So, like, I like Chris Johnson. I like the playmaking. 50, he might not be there.
Yeah, I think it's also something that they've just been missing as a whole, specifically from the cornerback room, is like a consistent playmaker, and it feels like they haven't really had that
since
like,
Darius Slay.
I was gonna say, is it crazy to say since Darius Slay? Because like it that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. You're not, but
So,
like to be clear, neither of you would advocate trading up for him, though, right?
From 50? Probably not cornerback.
No,
but it's
I mean,
weird because like we would say yes to a tackle or we'd say yes to an edge, right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask the
Jeremy
question. Did we do?
Nope.
Did we do the tight end trade that Ryan wanted? Because if we did,
an extra
we
second
got two
round pick?
twos. We got two twos.
Yeah. Then I might be inclined.
I don't know. Are you guys
like,
fans of Chris Johnson, like specifically in his game?
I get the appeal.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I think he's a solid run defender too. So
Yeah.
like, I like that about him.
Some height too.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest thing when it comes to corners. Like, you at least have to be willing. You don't have to like. Keontae Scott's like those types of secondary players are rarities. But if you're at least willing to get in the mix, and I see like Brugler kind of has in his write up on Chris Johnson, like, hey, eager run defender, won't jump off the tracks to escape oncoming trains. Like that's all I need you to do for the most part.
For sure. I mean, my favorite quote from the Beast is the sterling character feedback from NFL teams. An NFL scout said his give a shit factor is to the moon. The leader of the DB room, likable kid. His parents did an amazing job. Like, oh yeah, I want that guy.
Yeah, I think, like I said, with a pick like corner, whether it's in the first round or the second round, like I do think that the Lions would have to make some sort of corresponding move though that's similar to what they did with DeAndre Swift, like because there's just too many bodies. Like, as much as we're talking about, like, as much as I agree with you, Ryan, inject as much competition in that room as you can. There also becomes a point where it's just like, hey, there's too many corners, and somebody's got to be on the way out.
Yeah, we don't have enough spots. Yeah,
but I mean, I wouldn't advocate trading anybody because no one's got value. Like, I hate. Like, to me, it's just like that,
to that
that
point,
means cutting Nick Whiteside. Like, that's all that it requires for me.
I mean, maybe, right?
Not
I guess I could
Whiteside.
also ask the question though: how much value though did you think DeAndre Swift had? I guess, like, I'm not saying that he didn't have any, but how much did you think he realistically had?
What did they get for him? I don't even remember what they got him. Like a third or a fourth? I think they got a fourth.
I think it was like a fourth. But we can definitely look that up.
But he was.
But
I'm saying, like, who is the DeAndre Swift on the team that you would trade? Because Tyrion Arnold is not worth a fourth. Ennis Rakestraw is not worth a fourth. Roger McCreary got traded for like a seventh last year.
Yeah, the Lions traded Swift and a 2023 seventh round pick to the Eagles in exchange for a fourth round pick in 2025.
Like, I suppose DJ Reed you could trade. Let me look at his contract real quick. You could.
Yeah, I don't think he would be DJ Reed. Like, that would be the one player where I was like, absolutely not. But, like, does somebody think that, like, Terrion just needs to change his scenery, right?
Well, or is it Ennis? And I know he hasn't played, and right, like, what kind of value are you going to get for him? But, like, is there somebody
you're not getting a sixth for either.
A seventh round
players.
pick for Ennis Rakestraw?
Oh, maybe you can get a little bit more than Ennis is like a late pick swap at this point. And
yeah,
to me, that's not worth it. Because listen, I mean, like, how many years do we have to deal with an extremely injured cornerback room before we're like, you know what? Maybe having too much of a good thing is a good thing.
That's fair.
We thought they were deep last year, and it got devastated almost immediately.
For sure. But, like, I think, like, to what they did when they drafted Terrion, and it's like they went out there and they they dumped a ton of resources into the cornerback room already.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it was Carlton, Terrion, and Ennis Rakestraw. That was a trade, a first-round draft
And a
pick, and a
Meek,
second-round draft pick.
And
And they signed to Meek that
and
also.
Emmanuel
Meek.
Mosley was still around at that point, sort of.
In spirit. In theory.
But, like,
Emmanuel Mosley was around.
But I think like that's why I think we can all agree that we would like to see them invest in the cornerback room, like another potential guy that can compete for a long-term spot. But it's like it's hard to say that. Like I think that's why it's hard to truly argue it for the first 2 picks, because it's just like you still have top 2 picks that are still in the room that you haven't really figured out what you're doing with long-term.
No doubt. But at the same time, it's like frustrating, right? Like they continue to throw these resources in it, and we are seemingly closer to figuring out what the long-term plan is there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's just, I just don't want them to take a corner. Like even some of these corners.
Well, to me, this is it's kind of similar to the guard situation. Is like you have young players there that have potential. Let's see that potential play out. But at the same time, like there have been warning signs that maybe it's not going to work out, both at guard and at corner. And so you have to prepare for, that possibility that, Ennis is never going to develop into a starter, or, who knows with Terrion, in the same way that you don't know what's going to happen with Miles Frazier or Christian Mahogany. Like if there's someone out there that you view as a sure bet, and I'm not saying you're necessarily going to find that guy 50 overall, but if there's a guy that you think can, one, either jump those guys right away or at least, light a fire under somebody, then you got to consider it, I would think.
Yeah. And I think to your point about like, you don't know if it's a sure thing. I mean, 2024, it seemed like a sure thing, right? You got arguably the second best corner in the draft class, and then another top 5 corner. Like, and this was like fringe top 5 corner in the draft class. So like, it does show just how quickly things can flip. But I think that's also a good testament to like the inverse of this conversation, where like, well, what if the Lions do still prioritize tackle and edge? Like the same thing can happen. Guys that we think are like shoo-ins, no matter who it is, no matter who's the tackle that you love, no matter who's the edge that you love, like you can love them, today, and they still not necessarily pan out the way you thought they would.
I agree.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up the podcast. Unfortunately, no reviews this week, but we always encourage you guys. Well, yeah, right.
Be nice.
We're still going to encourage you guys. If you have any positive things to say, some things that again that you want to share. Again, we would love to be able to read those and to be able to kind of spotlight the people that are taking the time to support us, because we really do appreciate it. We don't take you guys listening or watching or attending the live stream for granted, so we definitely want to be able to kind of show you guys some love in return by at least taking a couple minutes at the end of the podcast to read some of those. But like always, if you guys are looking for any more additional Lions content, you can always find that over at prideofdetroit.com. There are new articles going up every single day. I believe we have a pretty cool series going up right now where different writers are highlighting like players that they believe that the Lions should draft, or why it would make sense for the Lions to draft these different players. Brian, did you write one on Kenyon Sadiq? Because I think you might have to now, since you decided to spin up a pretty interesting draft scenario.
That'll be the first time I write about the Lions should draft a tight end since Kyle Pitts. I don't know if my fingers are ready for that.
Never wrong, just early. Never wrong, just early.
I was gonna say, at least it'll get pushed. Unlike if anybody decides to write for a running back or anything like that, like that one probably won't see the light of day.
No, unless you want to write about a UDFA that you really like at running back, I'm in.
I'd write about Haynes King.
I was gonna say, who's the top kicker in the draft class? Like,
we've reached the time to shut this thing down.
But like always, you can always go over to the website, find any of the latest articles, any of the latest news or updates as things kind of come in. If you want to be able to look at and get a breakdown of all of the comments Brad Holmes had during his press conference today, you can also find that over at the website, on the website as well. And if you've been enjoying watching this live stream, or if you would like to watch the live stream, you can always do that over at twitch.tv/PrideDetroit or youtube.com/PrideDetroit as well to either replay this entire live stream or just, hit the notification bell over there and be notified the next time we go live so you can watch the entire podcast from beginning to end and even hang out with us during our break as well. And like I said before our break, this is also a really good time. Second Righteous Felon plug. If you want to save on Righteous Felon Jerky, do that over the next couple of weeks. Use the promo code DRAFTPOD26. Again, it's an awesome savings for you guys to be able to get 26% off your entire order. So
We've
literally, whatever you get, throw it in the cart.
We've literally never had a promo that big, and I believe I've been told that you can use it multiple times. So if you want to order one right now, see how it is, you'll get it before the promo code ends, and then you re-up for even bigger the second time around.
And the only thing longer than a road trip that requires craft jerky is day 3 of the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Just eat a bunch of jerky and watch the draft.
So with that said, guys, I'm Miko. He's Ryan. He's Jeremy. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch and listen, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Oops. Okay. We can hang out
my
for a little
own
bit.
Righteous Felon order.
We almost went through all, was it 8 bags and meat sticks during my road trip? It's great. All right. Hang out for a little bit here, answer some questions, talk about whatever. Thanks some people like Kane Def. Thank you for the follow on Twitch, and your boy Maroc, 44 months subscribed on Twitch. Get this, guys. The Red Wings are losing? No. But they were up 1-0, I saw. How's that possible?
They're still playing? For some reason, I thought the season was...
I mean, they got mathematically eliminated last game. So that's probably why you thought the season was over.
They got taken out
is.
back. In another game where they were leading in the third period. In perfect Red Wings fashion this season.
When you posted that, here
The
are
real-
the losses that defined, I'm like, why would I was tuning in, I'm like, why am I watching this? Why am I twisting the knife in my own abdomen?
Yeah, it's the only way I can feel about it right now. My algorithm is being dominated by
Angry
how
Red
much
Wings fans.
how much longer of a leash does Steve Yzerman have? And it's a lot of podcasts and stuff that like good hockey stuff that I follow. And people are like, how long is this going to keep going? And everybody who's on there is like, they're never going to fire Santa Claus.
They
You know
haven't
who
done
Steve
it now.
Yzerman is to the Detroit Red Wings? Right, exactly. They haven't done it now. They're not going to do it in May.
He just has to resign with his career at the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have to just graciously bow out. Hey, listen, I didn't accomplish what I wanted to.
That's what I'm
Give
wondering
someone else
about
a crack
Brad.
at it.
That's what I'm wondering about Brad Holmes right now, and he's getting so much. He's getting you would feel like if you ran a popularity poll for Dan Campbell versus Brad Holmes, who's polling way higher than the other?
I mean, it's no question, right?
And it's
Dan.
I think it's the same way it's the same way with baseball with the Tigers. There's people who are like, you're not spending money. You're not going out and getting, top tier talent. Why? It's the general manager's fault.
Yeah.
It's the general manager's fault that the, Steve Yzerman, right? It's the Red Wings aren't better because of Steve Yzerman.
Right. I mean, because we keep rolling through coaches, some of them good, some of them not good. And it hasn't changed anything. I mean, to me, it's just the crazy part, which almost makes you feel like it is coaching. It's just the collapses every year. This is a either fringe playoff team or good playoff team in January, and then they are just the worst team in hockey from then on. And how does that continually happen year after year after year? Literally 3 or 4 years in a row, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. 4 seasons in a row where they've collapsed in March, but
Is that just water leveling out every year? Is it just they've been a bad hockey team that for whatever reason, the statistical oddity, they've been good early in the season. They've been terrible at the end of the season. I don't get it.
Like in my very amateurish opinion, and it's just easy to say this and paint in a broad stroke, and feel free to like create like a football analogy for this, but like the Red Wings, terrible 5-on-5 hockey team. Like I'm pretty sure, I think it was my buddy who he texted me about like how many 5-on-5 goals do you think Dylan Larkin scored since Christmas? The answer to that question is 1.
Oh my God.
And he set a career high in goals with 34 this year. And he missed a good chunk of time, you know, those 2 or 3 weeks with the injury. But like, so like the Red Wings were a really bad 5-on-5 team they had the 6th best power play unit in the NHL.
Right.
In the first half of the season.
Right. And that was just never sustainable.
And then after January 31st, so like it's turnovers in football, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like it's that regression where it like you can't sustain the special things happening.
Power play merchants.
Absolutely.
God.
Absolutely. But like
I do love the merchant meme with this fan base.
The one other thing that I saw this graph back in the end of January, but like, would you look at the Red Wings schedule merchants? Do you want to see their record versus the good teams?
No, but you're
25th.
So they're the Chicago Bears. They're the Chicago Bears last year without the extra luck.
That makes me hate the Red Wings even more than I already did coming into this podcast. So thanks, Jeremy. Awesome. Cool. Sweet.
Just in the first half of the season, as Jason Arnick points out, they had a bunch of interceptions and they were playing an easy schedule. And for some reason, the Bears just never came back down to reality until the very end of the season, still the playoffs. And the Red Wings decided February was the time in which regression was going to happen.
Well, the Pistons.
Fun conversations.
April in the D. McGonigal hit his first home run.
He sure did.
Yay.
I was listening on the radio when it happened, and I was like, oh man, wonder what's going on with Dan Dickerson. He's not on the radio call. And then I realized when I got home and saw the TV clip, it was like, oh, it's because Benetti's on Sunday Night Baseball, and he got the call up from radio to TV. And that call was out. Like Dickerson was all over it.
Yeah, have you guys heard the San Diego Padres announcer?
No.
Has that creeped into your algorithm?
Mm-mm.
He goes absolutely ballistic, like voice strained, like screaming.
The only other baseball announcing thing that I saw this weekend was the almost 2 minutes of silence after the foul ball resulted in a guy pantsing himself.
Oh, yeah. Was that at the Blue Jays game?
I don't remember what.
Oh, yeah. That was tough.
That was something. Like that, the pants came off so quickly in that it almost felt like it was a Jackass sketch. Like that guy was just prepared. And I'm like, I feel terribly, but at the same time, kind of hard not to laugh at that.
That's kind of your legacy now, too.
You just kind of hope that the camera was far enough away that no one knows that was you.
That's unfortunate.
Check out the Red Sox starting pitchers line for today. Okay. Deal. What are you sharing?
That San Diego Padres radio announcer.
What does it take to be the most watched newscast in America?
What is this song coming from? Sorry. Okay. Red Sox. There we go. Box score. Jay Crotchet, 1 2/3 inning pitched, 9 hits, 11 runs, 10 earned runs, 3 walks, 0 strikeouts, 2 home runs.
Jeez. Yankees.
Ouch.
Pretty good. Pretty good. They're down 11-3 in the top of the fourth.
And if you thought you had a rough Monday at work,
Mm-hmm. You know what?
Should I-
We never. Sorry to like hard pivot this conversation on baseball, off baseball.
skirt, skirt.
But this is just because it's just because I just put in my righteous felon order and I just was looking at it. We never talk about the fact that you actually save more money the more jerky you buy.
Yeah. On top of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like kind of like the beauty of like putting together like a pretty big order is that you start to kind of save. And that's not a plug. Like that's literally just me like looking at them like why is it saying like minus $2 here, minus $3 here?
Keep hitting plus on the quantity. I'm saving more money.
Yeah.
I'm saving more money.
I mean, and then you take 26% off and I got a good amount of jerky. And
This
and I just got an order. And so I'm just adding more.
This is a free ad read.
3.
Well, listen,
They got
like,
3.
me and
Hashtag
Jeremy
not an
told-
ad.
I was gonna say, like me and Jeremy told our rep at Righteous Felon, we actually enjoy the product. So it's like it's not a hard sell for us.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it's time. Is it time to go? I think it's time to go.
Yeah, it could be time to go.
I'm sweating. I'm a little bit afraid that the power's going to go out since it's thunderstorming.
I thought you were gonna say your hand was starting to swell again. We're like,
I can see the knuckle. I think we're good.
Oh, was that? I didn't know if that was a threat
yeah,
to
let me
Miko.
give you the
It's
finger
like-
too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Midweek mailbag Wednesday afternoon. More or less confirmed. I think that's all I got.
Oh, me and Morgan are doing another mock draft tomorrow.
Nice. It's going up on the site tomorrow, or
Brad Holmes.
you're recording it?
We're recording tomorrow, so we're gonna put on our Brad Holmes hats and
Yeah. Wear
we
a
might
shirt with
trade up.
my face on it.
I'm if I could get one here by tomorrow, I would.
Draft POD 15. I'm sorry, 26. Draft
Whoa.
POD 26.
Whoa.
Who? Oh, quick. Hold on. Who the Lions draft in 2015? Go.
No.
It's 11 years ago.
You can also just type in exclamation point jerky, I think, both on Twitch and YouTube.
Interesting draft class. Lakin Tomlinson. Amir Abdullah.
Oh,
It's not working on YouTube. it
Quandary
is working on
Diggs,
YouTube.
6th round.
I've heard of him.
that was a solid pick.
God, great pick.
What happened to that guy? He was like on the lines, and then what happened?
Now he's chiming in on Alex Anzalone's post about Frank Ragnow's contract situation. That's what he's up to.
Oh, the YouTube wasn't. No, YouTube, don't look at that. It's wrong. I thought I updated that one.
Don't look at that. It's wrong.
Draft POD 26. That's the code. All right,
Okay.
we're getting out of here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Wednesday afternoon for the midweek mailbag. Go to YouTube, watch another mock draft coming your way down the pike. And yeah, why the Lions should draft blank series continuing tomorrow with an offensive tackle
Or a guard.
or a guard, maybe, depending
Or
on
a
your
tight end.
That was I don't think the idea is to play this person at tight end. But you know what? You want to get creative with it. I believe he's caught a pass. Is that right? I might be thinking of someone different. Than
Okay.
Caden
I-
Proctor,
no.
yes.
It's not Proctor.
Might be putting said player maybe put on a GLP-1 to get him to a tight end size.
What?
What?
A little Ozempic. That's an Ozempic joke for Nick the Greek.
Oh,
No, I
There
knew
was
it was
something
a joke.
there.
I was just like, wait, who is this? Who is this?
Caden
I think I
Proctor,
was wrong. I don't
putting
think
him
he's got
on
one.
a GLP-1.
Oh,
Anyways,
yeah. No, you would. Yes.
yeah, Proctor. Anyways, we'll see you guys
Anyway.
Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your night. Go Pistons, I guess.
You guess.
Yes.
It's basketball. It's boring.